morning off. Take a look at futures this morning. Looks like the rally continues after 8 straight weeks. Going strong here, up to 62 points on the Dow. NASDAQ pointing to an upstart as well, 24 points. S&P up 8 in the early action. Our roadmap for the hour is going to begin with the market rally. Major indices in the midst of an 8-week win streak. Also ahead, shipping giant Maersk preparing to resume operations in the Red Sea after attacks by rebels in Yemen.
Plus, a setback for Apple. The White House declining to veto a U.S. Trade Tribunal's decision to ban imports of the company's watches.
We begin, though, with the markets as we kick off a holiday-shortened week. It has been amazing to see the resilience and the strength of this rally, Scott. Even, the strategists all put out their S&P year-end targets for 2024, a month ago? We're close to that.
Yeah, they have to throw those out in the garbage.
Right.
Because of what we've done since November 1st. It's pretty stunning. Dow's up 13% since November 1st. S&P's up 13.5%. Now we're going to talk about all-time high watch because we're going to open above the all-time closing high for the S&P 500, which was 47.96. So keep an eye there as the futures look positive. The intraday all-time high is 48.18, but the run since November the 1st has been nothing short of stunning.
And it's really Fed-fueled, right? And you've seen it in the bond market, too. The rally in the bond market, 100 basis point move lower in the 10-year yield. We're also breaching all the targets for next year that the strategists are putting in place. They think the 10-year is going to end at 4%. Guess what? We're below that number now at 3.9%, which makes you wonder about how much is being front-loaded,
pulled forward
for next year. If next year is all going to be about rate cuts and normalizing policy from the Fed and the ECB and the Bank of England, well, the market's done a lot of work toward pricing in now 6 cuts for next year.
Especially when you consider that so many of the lagging areas of the market are the ones that have run so much since November. So if you're thinking, well, you're going to go into a new year, there's a lot of optimism, let's chase some of these underperforming areas. Well, they're not really underperforming anymore. I mentioned what's happened since November 1st. Real estate's up 20.5%. The financials, which had done next to nothing for much of the year, up 15.5%, just over, 7-8 weeks.
Russell's had a big comeback too. Everyone thought Russell small caps, play that because that's lagged all year. Now it's still, up much less than say technology, but the chart looks like this. It's a V chart. I'll come all the way back.
22% since November 1st.
There you go.
It's been remarkable, and it feels like so much of that happened so fast. Are there really going to be chasers left to get into some of those underperforming areas of the market? I think that's going to be a big question. We'll have to find out whether earnings are going to deliver the goods.
Absolutely. I think also if you look at sentiment and how far it's swung given the bullishness, you can check the AAII, individual sentiment readings. Bears going into hibernation. I have a great chart that looks at the fact that it's the fewest amount of bears now in the market since 2018. They're leaving because everybody's jumping on board the rally. Now, does that set us up for some sort of correction in the new year? Because that's kind of a contrary indicator. There's the fewest bear chart since 2018. You might think, people are getting a little too bulled up here.
That's what Ed Yardeni is talking about that today. He says, the only thing we have to fear is that we have nothing to fear. Right? Because everybody has suddenly gotten on the same side of the boat. Goldman had a trading note today that said there are no caution signs out there, which means maybe take
That's
caution.
a problem. But there are things to fear, right? I mean, okay, first of all, 2024, I think I read this in The Economist, is the most elections ever. We have the U.S. election. We have a U.K. election. We have some geopolitical hotspots like Pakistan with an election, India with an election, commodity exporters like Indonesia with an election. Just the source of volatility, no question about it.
Good morning, everyone.
Hope
everyone had a wonderful Christmas.
Down too much. Right now, we're in the sweet spot of a soft landing, and the markets embraced it. The markets cheered the fact that inflation is your friend. It continues to disinflate and even deflate in some parts of the economy. Market feels good about that, but can we really hang on to a soft landing? Can the Fed really stick it? We are seeing signs of softness in parts of the industrial economy. I think Nike's warning was stock sold off 12% on Friday when they said they're seeing a different kind of consumer profile. And it wasn't just in the U.S., it was all around the world. So I think signs about to your point, earnings and the economic softness is certainly a risk factor. that the market is not pricing in recession or anything slower than, say, just a minor slowdown.
Though if you're waiting for the consumer to crumble, you're still not getting many
No.
signs of it. The early data from holiday spending was up 3.1%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
MasterCard.
buddy,
Now
let's
you may
go.
be, increasing your credit card balance, and delinquencies may be going up, but the consumer still has a big appetite to spend. You mentioned, obviously global central banks and the Fed, and still the great unknown is even Jay Powell himself, the Fed chair, talks about it on a regular basis. These long and variable lags,
Sure.
are they eventually going to take hold? He can't be certain, and the fact is that nobody really can. But it sure looks like now, and Wall Street has placed their bets, given where we've come so far, so fast in the market, that they're going to stick the landing.
So we're going to continue to debate it. I think the retail sales data that you mentioned from MasterCard is pretty interesting because if you look at where the bulk of the spending was, I mean, the big winner in terms of category breakdown, restaurants. People are still paying to eat out. 7.8% jump that we saw from last year. So yes, overall, it's healthy that we got a good number. E-commerce was another big driver, up 6%.
Good morning, Ronnie. Good morning.
In-store was only 2%. Two categories were lower, which I thought were notable. Electronics and jewelry were actually down in spending. These aren't inflation adjusted, so you have to factor in a little bit of inflation into those numbers. But yes, it does point overall to the fact that
You take any
consumers
trades
still
yet?
in a good and healthy place. And then you mentioned the delinquency numbers. We did get new numbers from the New York Fed on Friday. So no, we do have delinquencies now rising on credit card debt past the pre-pandemic averages.
So
Nothing
those of you
spiking,
guys
nothing
joining,
super alarming, but it's a trend
right
that we'll
now,
start watching
I
because
am currently
obviously that's
in
problematic
two
for receiving
positions.
pain.
I
And
had
it's
3
happening,
positions.
you can
I was
parse the
long
data through the
oil.
age groups. Millennials are
I'm
actually
still
seeing
long
higher
Nasdaq, and I'm still long
pre-pandemic delinquency levels
RTY.
in particular
I
versus
closed
some of the
out
other
oil
cohorts.
Still a huge
for a
appetite for
point
experiences,
and a
you say,
half
whether it's eating out,
return.
traveling.
So basically, I made
Travel
$1.50
as you were talking, I was pulling up
on oil.
Expedia,
Yeah.
because I know
That's
that
the
these stocks have been
equivalent
on
of
Ripple of
1,500.
late. Expedia's up 56%.
So 1 point movement on
in
oil,
just
1
3
contract
months.
is 1,000.
It's
It's still
amazing
moving
because
higher,
people, it's
but
not
I'm
like they're
happy
just,
with what I
all of a
got
sudden
from
there's
it.
this renewed appetite to go travel
Happy
and spend money
holidays.
on
Hope all you
airfare
guys had some
and
wonderful
hotels and
time
everything
with your
else. But these
families
stocks have
and
had,
loved ones.
an incredible run of late as this appetite remains for whatever experience you want to have, whether it's the concert goers, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, whether it's traveling, Expedia,
So
and those
this
types
morning,
of stocks doing well. The airlines have had a really good go of it.
Don't forget the
nice,
cruises.
long or
Best
short,
stocks of the year,
because
Royal Caribbean and Carnival, they're in the top 10
because
of the S&P 500
Nas
in terms of
NQ is.
year-to-date
I mean, I
performance,
think we're
up
going for these highs
160%
today,
for Royal Caribbean.
or at least this
Carnival
week.
Cruise Lines up 134%. They
Awesome.
just
Yeah,
had earnings
I'm
last week. We
seeing
talked
I'm
to the
seeing
CEO, Josh
that we're
Weinstein.
possibly gonna
He
go for
continues
these
to
highs.
say there are
So
no
I've been
signs
long.
of decreased demand. What about the recession? What about the slowdown? What about the pent-up demand wearing off? They're just not seeing it now.
Yep, Santa
Cruises
Claus
were
rally. Let's
late
get it.
on the whole post-pandemic travel rebound, but still the amount of demand and what people are paying on prices, it continues to be a priority.
I just keep thinking of all these other areas where there doesn't seem to be a slowdown
Let's
whatsoever.
go.
It's like the Major League Baseball economy. Dodgers spend $1 billion on a couple of free agents, Otani, Yamamoto. Then you've got the stake in Manchester United,
Yeah,
which goes to
okay.
Ratcliffe over in the UK, richest person in the UK, for a $6 billion valuation. It's remarkable to me where valuations of everything continue to go up. Certainly, you're not getting any signs from those industries.
So
or those
NQ,
ones about,
I'll be
any
looking to
slowdown.
take profits up
Valuations
here
of sports teams continue
between
to climb. Valuations of sports
1736 and
salaries continue to
1741.
climb. Rights deals for all
And
of
then on
that.
any
So now,
pullback, I'll
obviously,
add, or maybe I'll probably
look
just
at
add to my
F1,
position.
The value of those teams, I'm sure,
Experiences,
continues to
sports,
go up dramatically.
100%. But that's not necessarily cyclical. I mean, I think that's in sort of a league of its own when it comes to valuation. That's in the ChatGPT valuation range, which is now targeting another 100 billion, which we'll talk about that valuation wise.
Next one, Queen, next one.
Dollar General's down 50% this year. Individual issues and category issues. Pfizer, Estee Lauder. I mean, there's just VF Corporation.
All right, next one, you got it.
Companies dealing with their own problems, but also in the consumer space,
yeah.
and something to watch.
Actually, I'm glad you bring that up.
Oh, you're still pushing.
It was the Journal
Jeez.
today was talking about the underperformance in packaged foods, right? Your wheelhouse. Smuckers, Campbell, General Mills, Conag, all down 20+%. all down 20+% this year. Higher rates, I guess, have hurt the
Just a
dividend
moment.
plays.
Higher rates and also GLP-1 drugs. People are really worried about the impact as these drugs go mainstream about how much we're going to consume of packaged foods. I think that's been a problem. Also, there's concerns about volume growth. It kind of disappeared this year. You know, the whole story for packaged food is they had all this pricing growth when inflation was high, and that was a help for margins. But then consumers.
So I'm
reached a tipping
hoping
point of
we
how
don't get
much they
like
were willing to buy
some
on
crazy
the stock
back and
prices,
forth, and
that's been
we just
kind of
right
a
out the
slowdown
gate
in
we
the food
just do
space.
what we're
Although,
supposed to
you know,
do.
you're looking for turnaround candidates of lagging sectors.
I will be
That
watching
is trading
oil for
under the
another
$30
potential
top of your
pullback
list.
and
When we
possible
return,
entry.
speaking of topic for 2024 happens to be among the Dow 30, not a tech stock, for what one analyst has to say about it. Taking a look at futures again, it looks like the party continues. Dow futures up 52, S&P futures up 8 points. It's quiet trading day with some markets like the UK closed for Boxing Day, but we'll be all over this rally, which is
It was
going
good. It was
deeply
chill.
strong.
It was
Let's
chill.
Walk on the Street comes right back.
Family. You know how it be. How about you, bro? Good morning, good morning. I know some of y'all probably surprised, like, man, bro, do you take a day off? No, sir. Good, good. Got to spend time with both sides of the family. Awesome, man. That's always a good vibe. They left over him this morning. All right, okay. Nice. Hope you got some like sweet potato up in there or something, you know, maybe some collard greens or we'll go with that. So maybe some rice and beans will go good with it. Make sure you got some veggies. As you can see, you know, I'm on my healthy tip, so I was over here chomping down on a nice juicy green apple. Later on, I'll probably have like a chicken wrap or something. Some fried sweet potatoes. That's good stuff. Marshmallows on top of it, or no, just like flat out sweet potatoes. That do you drizzle some was it some cinnamon on top? Some cinnamon and maybe a little drizzle of agave or maple syrup on it, and cinnamon. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Welcome back to Squawk on the Street. Looking ahead.
Okay, so let's take a look real quick at, you know, how things are looking. Oil just beautiful, still pushing. Good God, oil pulls back anywhere back down to like 75. I may have to hop back in. RTY is looking good. I'm looking for RTY to take out the 2069 area. 2069. That's immaturity. Let's see. ZL just face diving. We have LE, don't really want to touch that because it doesn't really move too well. But let me take a look at Tesla. I mean, Tesla could catch a nice bid today. I'm looking at AMD, Meta, Apple, Nvidia, and they're all looking like they're all curling. So if you take a look on the 30-minute time frame on them, they're all curling. So we could see a nice movement up, and obviously, like I said, I am expecting NAS to push to the highs, right? So I'm looking for Nasdaq to possibly take out the 73 and maybe push one more. The marshmallow version was for Thanksgiving. Copy that. That's the good stuff.
Certainly took a little bit of wind out of the sails. I think the company is, regaining momentum and confidence in the investment community. I can't say the GLP-1 discussion or debate won't come up again in 2024.
Give me a sec.
We'd probably use that as a buying opportunity should the stock weaken.
I wanted to further ask you about that. Are we at all concerned that these are structural issues now for these companies that we're just going to have to deal with, and it's just going to cut into their earnings moving forward, and analysts are going to need to remodel?
What up, bro?
We don't think so.
Let's go. Let's chill,
Time horizon. I mean, the work we've done over the last 6 months.
Nothing spectacular, nothing spectacular.
And again, who knows?
Just another regular day for me, to be honest.
It's not going to be significant enough.
How about you?
Take
The little
out
ones enjoy it?
An incremental sales layer that, maybe would have otherwise been impacted by the economy or share shifts.
Oh,
or something like
snap.
that.
Oh,
The restaurant
snap.
industry is just such a big industry
Oh,
that
okay.
continues to grow and take
Man, it's
share
like, yeah.
from food at home.
That's a really good day.
On an earlier segment, some of the
Kudos.
troubles that the packaged food companies are having.
Oh,
Restaurants
let's
for a long time have
see. Man, yo,
continued
you
to
seeing
take
oil,
share,
bro?
from packaged food, and we think all those dynamics will, allow the category to continue to grow, even with maybe some impact showing up over the next several years.
Bro, I'm like, to be honest, like, I think like not many people would be like trading. I'm OD with this, so. But yeah, I mean, but bro, like, when,
prioritizing. So why pick a McDonald's versus I'm looking at some
like, if I knew you would have been up at 3 in the morning, I would have said something, bro. But it's like, I know.
Experience restaurant economy when the consumer's not showing signs of recession.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good question, Sarah, and we do have buy ratings on a lot of those other names as well. We actually like the full-service casual dining category because those models are company-owned models. So when sales increase, you get more flow through to the EBITDA and the earnings. And in that category, we like names like Bloomin' Brands, Dave & Buster's, as you mentioned, Cheesecake Factory. And we think if rates have in fact peaked, and we're going to start to see.
If that's the case, you best to pay me.
Some of those small cap growth companies.
I said, if that's the case, they gotta, they gotta pay the piper.
Dutch Bros, at First Watch in that kind of early stage unit growth rollout. Real high growth small cap.
You know what you can do?
Why don't you have a buy rating?
You can create a favorites.
Stocks had a
You can create like a list of favorites, and in your settings, you can do it to where if anyone in your favorites calls or texts you while your phone is on do not disturb or work mode, those will be the only ones you can allow. So you can allow them to, like, you can allow yourself to receive calls and texts from them. So like me, like right now my phone's on work mode, but like anyone that's in my favorites, like if they call or text, like it'll come through. I'll get it. So that's something that you could do. So that way, like, yo, what I'm saying, hit you up, you get it.
They've done a great job, frankly. The fundamentals, I think, have a little bit of risk, in terms of
iPhone,
their check
Apple.
average and positioning.
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
Android?
consumer, as well as beef prices, which will be inflationary as we move into 2024. But some of the company-specific idiosyncratic things that they're doing should continue to help on the margins and lowering G&A at the business, which could be an offset.
Andy, I appreciate it. Happy holidays. We'll see you soon. Andy Barish.
Thank you.
Coming up, more on this morning's movers, including Bristol Myers announcing its second M&A deal in less than 1 week. Taking another look at futures here. Does look like we're pointing to a higher start on Wall Street. Dow up 30 points in the pre-market. NASDAQ up 30 as well. As Scott said, near all-time highs and just continuing this amazing 8-week win streak. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting to that point myself. I'm just like, yo, social media, cause this thing since
ChatGPT maker OpenAI
since
reportedly in early talks to raise
yeah,
unprecedented
since
funding
early
and a
morning.
valuation at or above $100 billion.
And this shit's still going. I'm over here like, damn.
Are still in the early
I
stages.
exited,
And
and now I'm just like, damn. I could have snagged another,
if that valuation holds,
another,
it would make
bro. I could have
OpenAI
snagged
the
another
second most
60,
valuable US
60
startup
points.
behind
I mean,
Elon
60
Musk's
cents on it.
SpaceX, Scott. And also, I feel like just a punctuation
Yo, give me
mark
1
on the
second.
year
Hold on, give me 1
that
second.
AI went mainstream and went Wall Street with Nvidia, the best stock of the year, up 234%.
The valuation I'm looking here in 2021 was 14 billion. In January of this year, it was 29. So, as you just suggested, we're going to close the calendar on this year with a $100 billion valuation, apparently.
Potentially, yeah.
It shows that, but it also shows why
All
there
right,
are so many questions about a bubble existing in this space that has fueled the run in mega cap stocks like
But
nothing
yeah, bro, like
we've seen in
once
a
it.
couple
So
of
if you
decades,
look
really. I saw
on
an
the
interesting stat, too,
15-minute
on
time
that.
frame
S&P
on
total
oil,
return,
right?
okay,
So
dividends is up
everything, like
46%.
everything right from the
It would
open,
only be up
from
9.5% without
from the
mega
6
caps.
p.m. open,
So
just
now,
popped, right?
November 1st to now
So
is
everything
close
popped.
performance
Oil
because we've had this incredible run in
did a little
everything.
consolidation.
But that
It
shows
broke
you
down, but
what
if you look on the
AI
15-minute, like you can
has
see
meant
a
to the market and
a
investor
solid
returns
bottom
for
right
calendar
at
year
73.20.
in large part because
And
the
then
story ignited
once I
everything.
got confirmation
Initially
that
with
we got
Microsoft
over
and
the
the
prior
investment there,
daily
and that stock has had just
low,
an absolutely
which is
crazy run.
Well, the
73.39.
ADX
Once that
is
happened, I
set
was
to
like, all
finish the
right,
year
we're in business.
54%, which is its best
We
year
ready to
since
go.
1999, right? And obviously is
Yeah.
commanding a premium valuations,
So
30,
even though
30 times earnings, about 5 times above its 7-year average, and so on and so on. 2024, I think, is a question. Is it going to be? Is it going to continue to be the year of AI, or is it going to be more of this technology has to sort of crawl before it can run? I think that's one of the questions after so much excitement and hype and enthusiasm. I would just note on the private side, the story of the year on rising interest rates has been marked down valuations, harder to get fundraising, unless you are in AI.
Bruh.
We just reported a few days ago that Anthropic, which is a big OpenAI competitor, was also in talks for, I think, an $18.4 billion valuation, which it's not 100, but is a huge leap from where it was in its last valuation round as well. People are throwing money at these.
Good question will be whether a perceived laggard, now I use that word in, many, many quotes, because Alphabet shares did incredibly well this year too, even though the narrative was that they lost ground to Microsoft. Well, Barron's with a thing this weekend says why Alphabet could be the best bet among the Mag 7.
I
Why?
think
Because they
Nas is gonna do something
expect them
too.
to grow
I
as
mean,
fast
Nas is
as
already up.
Microsoft. Trades 20 times
I'm
earnings,
up
so
on
people look
Nas.
at it as one of the cheapest
I'm up on
plays
Nas
of the
already.
Mag
I'm
7,
looking for like
right,
at
where
least to
multiples have
retest
expanded a lot. Meta, even though the stock
1743
has had a
area.
tremendous run, still deemed to be
So,
one
but
of
we'll
the cheapest
see.
plays if you,
But yeah,
look
the,
at valuation there along with Alphabet. So
Yeah, looking for alternatives to the Microsoft, Nvidias, which are the market darlings around AI. One more look at futures for you as we head into the opening bell. We've got still higher. Dow futures up 17. They've lost a little bit of steam here in the early action, but it does look like we are set to continue this run we've had going on 8 weeks plus. Nasdaq futures up 33 and S&P futures
Yes. I'm looking
up
for
7%.
at least if we
Spot
can
rate's
test
gonna be
like
right back
the
in even.
London, well, the Asian high. So Asian high is 1736. So let's see. Yeah, so you remember how before I told you, like, yo, you just gotta show up because yo, you never know when they're gonna do it. Like I know sometimes like again through holidays, like when you know everyone's expecting things to be slow and staggered, is when like yo you'll catch some good movements. Someone this morning was texting like it's like yo like oh like markets are slow, low volume, da da da. I was like save that for the stock market, not for the futures market. I'm like yo futures market. I'm like at the time I was up like 1.5%, and I'm like yo as of now like I'm as of like about maybe half hour ago I'm up 2.15% on the day and counting. So I was like. Nah, bruh, nah. You know we got goals, bro. You know we got goals. We gotta end this strong, man. We gotta end this strong, especially if this thing, if Nas and Russell do what I think it's gonna do. Yeah, man. It'll be a nice 4% day, maybe 3.5. Then I'll call it a day. Don't do this. Let's go. Mm-hmm. Get to it. Let's get to it. 50 seconds to go. Go. 32 seconds to go. Yeah, bro, it was. I'm trying to not be on that status. So like, damn, I could have gone in heavy. I should have gone in heavy. It's like, nah, bro, I'm gonna take what I can take and keep it pushing. We ain't greedy.
We head into the opening bell. One stock to watch today, Apple, a setback. The U.S. Trade Tribunal's ban on imports of the company's watches officially goes into effect today after the Biden administration declined to veto the group's decision. The ban, based on a complaint from medical monitoring technology company Massimo, bars imports and sales of Apple watches that use patent infringing technology for reading blood oxygen levels. The issue here, Scott, is the pulse oximeter feature in these Apple watches. And if you go online, Apple has already taken these offending watch models off the store. Locations are expected to open today without the latest of the Apple watches. I guess the cheaper Apple Watch SE is okay. It's not part of the ruling, so it remains on sale.
Is the series?
Let's go. Thank you. Thank you said I ain't come to play with y'all. Come on, right out the gate. Keep running. Keep running. Keep running. Come on, let's get to those highs, baby. Let's go. Yes. We out, ladies and gentlemen. We out. Come on. Ooh, nice. Little drop on Russell. Little drop on Russell, and he's looking good. Listen, if you're up on a day, definitely you want to take some profits. Oh, she gonna go. She gonna
expect it to make a huge dent, but we're trying to put some numbers around it.
Yeah, analysts are. Eric Woodring over Morgan Stanley says for every week that Apple cannot sell the Apple Watch Series 9 and the Ultra 2 in the United States, it will lose roughly $135 million in
Are we
revenue,
going for those highs? We're
0.5%
going. Yo,
of March
AMD's
quarter
pushing,
revenue.
Nvidia's pushing.
Not a massive game changer, but nonetheless,
Not much movement on Apple or
something to keep
Meta
an
at the
eye on
moment.
when you're already wondering about where the company's growth rates are, right? They've had 3 consecutive quarters of negative revenue growth. So figuring that that's going to turn around. One
Nice
reason why
little
the stock's up
pullback so
50%.
far on oil.
Yeah.
Let's see if it holds
Here's replacing their
75.11
long-term
area.
bets on Apple that this is maybe just a blip until they can figure it out. And even if it's a little longer lasting thing, it's not going to have a material impact enough to cause analysts to change their ratings on the
Right,
stock.
apparently they can do some software workarounds potentially here to circumvent the patent issues. They
See a
can
little
temporarily eliminate the
divergence.
feature central to the case, or they can settle the patent dispute directly with Massimo, which is the patent holder. But I think if you were wondering if the Biden administration, and specifically the USTR under Ambassador Catherine Tai, was going to come and bail out Apple here in the last minute, that did not happen. Not having a whole lot of an effect on Apple's stock today. Scott, just as far as we open here, a little bit higher, Dow opened 15 points higher. A big driver of this entire rally has been the bond market, so I think we have to check what's happening here. A little bit firmer yields, but as long as we see that 10-year note yield below 4%, I feel like the market is pretty good with the fact that it's been a lower yield and a downtrend. And
There
then on
you go.
Friday,
Play dirty. Play
we should
dirty.
have mentioned the
Play
latest
dirty.
indicator was the PCE. This is the Fed's preferred inflation report, and it continued to show progress on disinflation. We even got a negative number on that November month-to-month read. Core CPI or core PCE, which is what the Fed pays really close attention to. It's still
Yeah,
elevated,
bro. I'm looking for
it's slowing down,
Intel to
but
go
it's slowing
over
down
like
at some level.
$60,
So the market,
$80,
it's
bro.
still the trend is your friend when it comes to the inflation numbers.
Yeah,
And the
bro.
market has
Average
embraced
cost
that.
20. Was it 28, 80 something? Is my cost average on it?
Front ran the number a little bit.
I'm even looking to do some leap year calls on it too.
Maybe it was even a little bit better than they had expected. And I think, look, you cover this closer than anybody, what global central banks are doing as well. News out of Japan, for example. Nobody is really getting hawkish or even talking about or thinking about really getting hawkish anytime soon.
Except maybe Japan, which is
Not
so
a fan of
far
their
lagging.
location,
It's
but
so easy policy that it's still in negative rates, and it continues to surprise the market with how gun shy it has been to exit out of negative rates. We finally got sort of a policy speech from Ueda, the Bank of Japan governor, saying, okay, maybe if inflation really takes hold and we continue to see this trend, we'll start to normalize. But that's about it. You're right. It hasn't been a very hawkish mood or a hawkish environment, and that's what's been the primary driver of all this good feeling and the big wins that we've seen in the stock markets here and abroad. You just wonder how much is already factored in at this point, because it's not just the Fed. The market is believing they're all going to be cutting
talking about.
into next
Keep it
year
pushing.
as inflation
I want.
comes down and they
It's
try to
going.
normalize to preserve
ES
their
is
soft
ripping.
landers too. Can Europe pull it off?
ES gets
Germany,
over
basically in
815.
recession? I think that's another question.
Hey, Europe maybe is getting a little bit of a lift again from what's going on in natural gas.
Is about the
If you take a
low
look at where natural gas prices
going,
have been, that was really a savior
gone. Come
for
on.
the European economy last
Get
winter, and
over.
down 5%.
It's been warm weather.
Yet again this morning. Well, warm weather last winter, warm weather thus far this winter has helped the European
Absolutely.
economy.
Come on, baby.
Absolutely.
Given things surrounding the war.
Break over
in,
this
in Eastern Europe, which, by the
1737.
way,
You
is
know you
still,
want to.
one of those wild cards
you
for
know you
2024
want to. Come on.
geopolitics between Israel, Hamas, the war in Eastern Europe, and who knows what else. You just never know what the
baby,
real
go,
impact
go,
of that
go,
could
go,
be in
go,
a flashpoint
go. I'm gonna
moment
drop.
on any sort of
I
geopolitical
want to drop
front.
one
Well, it's why we've
contract
been watching
here.
the shipping issue very carefully. And there's news today. Maersk, which is the second largest shipper in the world, we talked to them last week. They're now going to be resuming sending tankers through the Red Sea after this U.S.-led coalition began.
All right, I'm
providing
dropping the
naval security
contract
against attacks
at
by the Iranian-based Houthi
1734,
rebels.
leaving a runner
It's a
for the
big
break
deal
for the
because
highs. We're about to
before
break.
that,
We're about
they
to
were having
break.
to reroute
Yo, AMD
through
is
Africa.
ripping.
It
The
would add
video's
time, several
ripping.
weeks onto shipping
Oh,
and potentially
Lord.
at cost as well. If they are able to proceed
What
with the
do we
Suez
have
Canal, it
here?
represents some sort of normalization. We'll see
Up
how it goes,
2.5%
because
on
there
the
are still
day.
reports
Let's
on Saturday, for instance,
go.
a tanker operating off the coast of India was
Did
attacked
buy,
by a drone.
did buy.
So these attacks are still happening, but now we have this U.S.-led coalition in place to try to stop it. So maybe we can see some stabilization in shipping rates. And
Come on,
those
baby.
worries about inflation flaring up again
Yeah.
and what that was going to do, maybe that calms this down a little bit. But BP is still not doing it, and we're still waiting for some other big shipping giants as well. They're still not going through.
What container
channel.
prices had surged to
The
what,
B,
10,000?
BS, come on.
$10,000. So you get 30% of global container traffic, not total trade, but container traffic goes through the Suez, which is why it is so important to get traffic moving in some sort of normal way through there to relieve some of those concerns as well. International news as well. We'll talk Intel. As Israel grants Intel $3 billion for a chip factory there. Intel's been an interesting stock.
Yeah,
Doesn't
I'm
get
looking
talked
for
about
75.11
much
on
as
oil to
the
fade
Mag
back
7,
down to.
but
It's had a nice comeback.
it has had a nice comeback. I'm gonna pull it up. We can take a look at what those shares have done because I think it's one of the better performing
Yeah.
technology stocks. There's 3 months up 44%.
There you go. Come on.
Gives you an idea that it's not just a Mag 7 world and everybody's living in it. Some other stocks, have done quite well. Broadcom, for example, which is deemed to be a cheaper way to play AI than NVIDIA. Broadcom's had a big run too. The multiples expanded in a good amount in that run, but this is interesting news regarding Intel, which is giving those shares a bunch.
Yeah, it's also getting, planning to get grants as well from the U.S., from the CHIPS Act to build its factory in Ohio, which is obviously a big deal. Just before we button up the international conversation, Scotty, I'm watching Brent crude oil, which is higher this morning. It's up about 2.5%. WTI up 2.6. It's also had a nice run just in the last few weeks here on improving financial conditions overall, thoughts about improving demand as well, but you also have to watch the geopolitics. And when you have Iran entering the story when it comes to Israel-Hamas, so far it hasn't been in a big way, but we watch the headlines because, of course, Iran is the major oil
Yeah,
producer
NASA's gonna go.
and
NASA's gonna go
potential
too. It's just being a little
impact
third
on
right
You don't
now.
want to
Just,
mention the falling
playing
dollar.
real hard to get. They're like, yo, I'm make you work for it today.
Commodities have been, up, and there's obviously the
It's like, don't play with
relationship
me, ho.
there. So we're going to see what happens with this more dovish
Santa done came around and
central
gave all
bank,
his ho
here in the United
ho's.
States if the dollar continues to decline.
So dollars down. I'm so glad you mentioned it. Thank you for teeing me up. Down 1.8%.
Yo, the way AMD's looking, bro, and the video.
Month to date. And it's been on the back of lower treasury yields. Dollar follows yields lower and had been running up on higher rates, and we're totally reversing that. It's good
ES is
for liquidity.
pushing.
It's good for the whole risk-on trade. Everybody seems to want the weaker dollar. However, it's a relative trade. So if the Federal
Watch, that
Reserve
pop is
is more
coming
dovish
any
than the
minute.
European Central Bank, the Bank of England, then the dollar can continue to weaken. And so far, it has sounded more dovish. But Europe's economy arguably is in worse shape than the U.S. economy. So if Europe has to cut rates first or cut rates bigger, then that could reverse a little bit. So dovish central banks, not necessarily completely mean a weaker dollar. I think we have to look at the relative performance of the economies as well. And the U.S. has been doing better. Just the Fed has been more willing to talk about cuts.
Yeah, there's the move on your screen. I mean, what the euro's done versus the dollar.
It's
laying back
helpful.
up
It's
to
helpful for all those multinationals. They complained about it all year long on the run up in rates and the strength of the U.S.
this
dollar.
is
No
really
question they'll
struggling.
get relief from this move weaker on the U.S. dollar.
Don't appreciate
As
this.
far as other movers we're watching, Scott just mentioned some of the winners
Russell's catching
of
the
the year,
bid.
which continue to make highs here. Nvidia's up another percent. Meta continues to be higher. These are the best stocks
Come on,
of
come
the
on,
year.
get over
And I
that
know in the
38. That's what I'm
world,
talking
we were
about.
both watching this
That's what I'm
Manchester
talking
United
about.
deal.
There we go. We're pushing the vid's about to
Well, it is a
blow
big
this
deal,
rooftop.
because
Oh,
these teams
there goes
don't
Nvidia.
change any sort
There
of
goes
ownership
AMD.
all that often.
Let's
Now the
go.
Glazer family's
Come
gonna
on, get over
keep control,
40.
but this is a
Get over
25%,
40. Get over
stake.
40.
I just think
Let's
it just
go.
underscores
Bitch,
where
stop playing with me.
valuations are
Stop
going
playing
for
with me.
the most
Don't
valuable
got time for
and
your
important
shit.
and iconic sports properties around the world.
Okay.
Manchester United certainly is one of those. Even though their performance of late on the pitch hasn't really, matched what the valuation has done.
There we go. Come on. There
off
we
the
go.
pitch,
New
but
highs
yeah,
coming. Come on.
Some of the most iconic players wear those kits.
Tell them talk
whether
to
it's Beckham
us
or
nice,
Ronaldo,
Jay.
or a countless number of other of the most iconic soccer stars throughout history have played for that franchise. And I said earlier, the big four in the Premier League all have U.S. ownership. Liverpool, Man U, Chelsea, and Arsenal. Man City, of course, is owned by the UAE's Sheikh Mansour, and they've won the Premiership a couple of years running, I believe, and still are fighting for the top spot once again this year behind Wilfred's Arsenal. I always think
Who's
of
in here with us? Who's in here with us, bro?
Arsenal and the Kroenkes owning that, and they're first in the table.
Fan.
Yes, he is.
So the news here that billionaire Jim Ratcliffe, who is British, he's going to get 25% stake of the club, $33 a share on the public markets. The stock actually has
This is
been
about to
down
be
this year
one
because this has
fun
been
morning.
a long, drawn-out process.
NQ with a new
of sale.
high,
And I think it's
NQ
been
with a new
relatively
high.
disappointing
Green,
from
it's
the
green.
original news
Hey,
that the
boss,
Glazer family
got to
was gonna put
go.
this team up for
All right, man.
sale.
Catch y'all later,
The fact
bro.
that they are still involved. I think people are probably not that thrilled about that, and that it's not a takeover of the team in a necessarily meaningful way. He's going to get 25% of the Glazer shares as well, and then 25% of the listed shares. He's going to invest $300 million into the club. Going to get 2 board seats, but of course not full control here.
Okay.
And Sir Jim Ratcliffe is a minority owner of the Mercedes-Benz F1
There you
team as
go.
well, in case you
Nice
were wondering.
crossover.
Are you in
about
anything?
that. But yeah, the valuations, I think, to your point, overall, continue to just go up and sort of
Okay.
defy gravity on some of these teams.
Yeah. Well, you'll have, also media rights, which, media's obviously have been in the news of late just
Okay.
because of merger speculation. But NBA rights deal is coming up. Is Netflix going to emerge as a player there? So I just think the whole dynamic around
All right.
investing in sports,
Here
you've
comes
seen
ES with the
people like
break.
Mark Lazary, billionaire investor, start a new sports fund, make different investments in second and third tier sports after cashing out at with a 7 or 8 bagger from his investment in the Milwaukee Bucks basketball team. But billionaires continue to look at sports as a place to make longer term investments.
Okay.
No question about it. Speaking of, just want to talk about Bitcoin for a second, because this was the year that everyone thought Bitcoin would fall apart, right? SBF went to jail. CZ got fined a few $1 billion and had to leave his company at Binance, the titans of the industry. Forget it. Bitcoin's up more than 160%, outperforming the stock market easily.
Outperforming
New highs
everything.
coming.
It's
Come
the
on.
best,
Give us the
right?
new
It's the best
highs.
returning asset class
There you go.
of 2023.
And it's not just Bitcoin, it's also other cryptos like Solana, which was backed by SBF, also had a pretty good year. There's a lot of hope for. So January 10th is a deadline by the SEC of whether they're going to approve the first spot Bitcoin ETF, and whether that's going to drive.
There we
a
go.
whole
New highs, new
another
highs.
wave
I'm
of
taking
demand. That's part of
profits.
it. You've also got this halving,
Okay,
in
NQ, let's
2024,
do.
which is this
let's go.
quadrennial event that limits the supply growth of Bitcoin. That's another reason people are bullish.
Locking in
It's also just been tested during
2.59% on the day. Locked in profits. The only one I have running now is Russell, so I need Russell to hit. Once Russell hits, it's a wrap.
Continues to climb.
But if,
Yeah, like I said, the best performing asset
see.
class going. I think a large part of it is what you said about expectations of the ETF,
Yeah.
and we'll see how that.
I'm setting a
progresses.
buy
But,
limit
for
at
example, that stock's up a lot,
1732.
since the November 1st rally too, as there's just growing optimism around crypto and whether you're going to have more access for investors in ways to invest in those products.
Absolutely. I'm just watching also Nike was looking to see whether it got a sort of dead cat bounce after a tough 12% down day on Friday, which was a post-earnings reaction. Does not appear so.
That's well, yeah, I told you, bro. It was gonna. I was looking for this thing to come lower, possibly to 75.11 for a long. It's not going to be a short unless you catch it at the highs, right? So if it makes a high, let's say we go to 76, I would say then we could probably look to try to get a quick counter trend short, which you might get maybe 20-30 cents, but I don't think that's worth it given the direction that it's going in. I mean, like if you're looking for something quick, I mean, you'd rather wait for a pullback and do a quick buy. Like, so this buy at 30 would have been nice, but I was more comfortable taking it at 75.11.
Companies like a Walmart and a Target have been warning about the weakness in discretionary spending, so Nike will be important in that sense.
I think Target's on my list of stocks that have done, incredibly well since November 1st. I believe it's up 25%.
Had been a laggard.
It had been a big laggard. A lot of these stocks have been big laggards.
Right.
They've just had this massive catch up trade over the last 6 weeks. Let's talk Bristol Myers because they've been on a spending spree. I think it's fair to say they announced another deal today. Raise Bio, $4.1 billion last week. They said they'd buy Karuna for $14 billion. That space, biotech, has been a real interesting question, whether that's going to have some sort of return in 2024. Piper Sandler today says that they've
Am I in any trades? Yeah, right now I only have a long position on Russell 2000 RTY. I was long NQ looking for a new high. I've completely exited out, but I'm looking to re-enter on a pullback to 1733, 35 area for a push to take out the 1773. And I was also in an oil long, which I locked out. So as it stands right now, I'm up 2.58% on a day.
Yeah, you're right. Another multi-billion-dollar deal here. I guess that Bristol is dealing with some of its top drugs,
just
blood cancer treatment, and also a blood thinner, Eliquis.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, like, I'm telling you, it's like, yo, you gotta show up, bro. You never know. You never know. This, and honestly, like, this action, like, yo, it's pretty smooth. Like, it's not sluggish. It's like, all right, you know, a little back and forth. But normally, like, this thing would have had us waiting a whole freaking hour before it busted the move that it's supposed to.
This year, it's one of 3 sectors negative. Now it's negative by a fraction, but nonetheless, it hasn't done anything. Is biotech going to have another down year after what you just said was a couple in a row? There are analysts who are trying to place their bets and strategists saying that it's not going to go 3 in a row. You know, whether it's Krinsky, who, by the way, also says you can get to 5,000 on the S&P in early 2024. Now, he's been a little negative of late, more of a technical strategist than anything, but nonetheless, a lot of the bears seem to be throwing in the towel of late, and maybe some of the technicians who were thinking you'd have a reversion to give some back are changing
because it's broadening,
changing their tune.
Because it's going the other way, and today continued. The S&P is up 0.25% here in the early action. Energy's leading the charge. Tech is higher again. What's lagging? Healthcare and consumer staples, which have both lagged all year long. As we head to break, just want to hit bonds quickly for the bond report. Show you how treasuries are faring this morning. They've been a big underpinning of this rally. The rally in bonds as well, which has taken yields sharply lower. 10-year note yield goes lower again, 3.899. Not going to get a whole lot in the way of data. We'll hit S&P K Schiller home prices in just a moment. 2-year yield.
I would wait on the oil shorts.
7%. We'll be right back here on Squawk on the Street.
We're pulling. Let's see. Right, look, come on, give us this pullback. Give us this pullback. Divergence with the Dow. Let's take a look. 36. NQ. Copy. Come on, fill me 32, bro. Cut the graph. This is just a small little pullback. Come on. Mm-hmm. Okay, nice. There you go. So I got filled at 17,032. I'm gonna try to rock out with this one, see if we can head back up to the 70s. I'll look to add if we can reclaim 1745. Yep. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Mm-hmm.
BC.
See.
NASDAQ 100 continues
There
its
we go,
remarkable
there we
win streak.
go.
Here's who's leading the way today. Semiconductors. Look at
Push
Intel.
it,
It's on
baby.
top
Push
there,
it,
up
push it,
2%.
push it.
More than that, agreeing to build a $25 billion chip plant
Get
in
over
southern
45.
Israel.
Oh,
After
beautiful
securing
hold
more than
on
$3 billion in
ES
incentives from the Israeli
at
government. But as Scott mentioned earlier, has been
48.1150.
sort of a
Okay, come
sneaky
on. I
winner
want to see
all
ES
year long.
over,
AMD is also
hold
at the top
over
of the list today. And so is
815.
Dollar Tree, having a little bit of a
We get a
rebound. We'll
nice
continue to hit
candle
the movers
close. I'm
for you
looking
in
at the
this market
5
rally
minute
when we go
and
right
the
back.
15 minute on oil. Overall, as long as overall, as long as ES stays over 48.08, we're good to move back up to at least 48.21. So I may be looking to scale in on ES as well. I guess let me pull up the chart so it can be seen. Okay, so right here, so check it. ES, we're holding, beautiful support at 48.0825. This would be the target. Now, if we were to get a close below 48.07, I would then possibly be looking for us to come all the way down to maybe to the 47.90s. Yesterday, when we opened, we did create a small little gap. But as we've seen with these gaps, these shits can take their time to fill. So we can't really be using that at the current moment. Let's go. Yes, NQ. Yes, NQ. Come on, baby. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like it. Okay. Damn. Sometimes being in the office by yourself is a vibe, man. It's good. It's a good. I would enjoy being in the office by myself. It's like nobody gotta bother. Mm-hmm.
Well.com.
Yeah, that's all day, man. Call me into the office, paying
2024
me
could
that.
be a busy year for media M&A activity overall. Julia Borsten joining us now to explain. Morning, Julia.
Well, Scott, consolidation
Mhm.
may be the answer to pressure the media giants are facing from cord cutting, a weak ad market, and competition for
But
content.
it was it?
subscribers
But
and
what
sports
is
rights
it? Is the
from
office in New
deep-pocketed
York?
tech giants. Now, Paramount Global is in focus right now after its CEO Bob Bakish and Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David
Well, I was about to
Zaslav
say.
met in New
Boston?
York last
Okay.
week. That's according to sources. This follows talks between Paramount's controlling shareholder, Jerry Redstone,
Yeah, 'cause I was
and
about to
David
say, like,
Ellis's
office
Skydance
in
and
New, I
Redbird,
mean, dude
along with
living in New
talks with
York, that
Apollo,
750,000 ain't
according to
gonna be
sources
much.
as
Probably
well.
gonna
Now,
be around
Paramount
like
did suffer
300
from a
and change.
14% decline in linear TV ad revenue last quarter, and they face upcoming debt payments. Now, Warner Brothers Discovery would
The
benefit from
congestion rule?
Paramount's coveted NFL rights on CBS. And if Warner Brothers Discovery is not a buyer, it will be free to sell
You mean
itself
the
as of
BOI?
April 8th when restrictions
The
on its
BOI?
Warner Media deal expire.
Yeah, yeah,
Now,
yeah.
sources say that
Beneficiary.
Comcast might be
Yep.
interested in pairing its NBC Universal, which is of course CNBC's parent company, with Warner Brothers Discovery to create a more
You still gotta fill it out.
streamer, combining Max with NBC's NFL rights. And access to the NFL could also drive deals for the likes of Amazon, Apple, and Google's YouTube. And all of those tech giants are eyeing the
Bro,
NBA's
that-
next rights deal, which will be negotiated soon. Now, the other sports wild card is
Well, no,
if
you can
and
have an
Bob
LLC in
Iger said
another
he's
state.
bringing
Like, you're gonna
direct-to-consumer
pay
next
taxes
year.
according
We're
to
also
where
watching
you
to see if
reside.
sides to
But the
settle
thing
disputes
is that like
over
a lot of
networks. And
like a
more
lot of
linear
businesses,
content could be in play. But just last week, Lionsgate
they're not
finally
like
spinning off
whoever's
Stars.
benefiting from it is
Sources tell
not
me
like
it could
necessarily
allow the likes
documented.
of the History Channel and
But like the
BET
one
to take
exception
them
is like if a
digital as it
business
has
is
with
owned
its
by
Stars
a
streamer.
trust, right? You
Now,
don't
the
have to
real
fill that.
catalyst that could kick off a wave of
But
change in
they're
the industry
literally doing
is Sherry
everything they
Redstone and
can
what
to
she
go after
decides
small
to do with her
businesses.
properties. And guys, I have to
They're
say,
doing
there was no
everything.
comment from any
Huh?
of the media giants, but we know that they are having these conversations. Still very early days, but they are talking.
Julia, what about this Disney India deal with Reliance? What do you know about that? How big of a deal is it?
Well, so Disney has confirmed that they have had talks about potentially merging or combining or selling their India assets. So the key thing we have to remember here is that those India
I'm gonna have to talk to my
alongside
accountant.
TV assets are just less valuable than their streaming
Yeah,
assets
I'm gonna have
here
to
in the
talk to
US.
my
And the
accountant about
Economic
that
Times has
because
reported
I
that
came
Reliance,
across
which is a
information was
major
like, oh, if you
India-
have it in
a
a trust, you
media
don't have to.
conglomerate, had
Which
inked
I'm
a
like, bro,
deal
like
with
I have
Disney
been
for
like
them. I
slowly
have not
moving
been able
stuff
to confirm
overseas
that yet, but it
anyway,
has
so I'm
been
like, it doesn't really,
Will be
this rule
interesting.
doesn't
Disney,
really
a laggard this
concern
year,
me
is
that
falling
much.
4.5%.
I mean, but at the same time,
Doug
like
in
it,
this morning. Thank you,
if you're not
Julia.
doing nothing shady, whatever, it's
Coming
fine.
up, one
But
analyst here
it's
thinks off
it's
Bitcoin
just ways that they
2024
know,
is
like,
not
okay,
gonna
they
be
can
already
come
up more
after
than
you, like
45%
you're the
in the
person they're
past
gonna
2
come
months.
after.
Keep it
You know what I
here on
mean?
Squawk on the Street.
But aside from that, I mean, like even with the crypto, bro, like they're coming for everything, bro. Literally, like they're coming for everything. Like now, as a U.S. citizen, dude, like with a crypto, even if you have crypto in a ledger, right, in a cold storage, and you take it to another exchange, let's say overseas, bro, like you're still like once you fill out the forms and whatever, like they're still going to you're still gonna have to pay taxes. Like there's no ifs or buts of, bro, like they're coming for everything. If you a US citizen, bro, as a US citizen, the Corporation of America is the pimp. We the hoes. We the ones on the corner busting our ass, taking the risk. You know what I'm saying? Losing sleep, stressing over shit, and and they coming for half. Like it's ridiculous, bro. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. And a different citizenship, bro. That and a different citizenship is gonna put you on a whole different uh game, and it's gonna put you in a position where like you're really gonna be able to protect your assets and just grow, bro. Like taxation is the biggest expense we have, and they're doing everything possible to hinder your ability to trade. Another thing that they're doing is they're trying every conceivable way to block U.S. Residents from brokering with offshore brokers. Now, most people like that haven't like dabbled overseas, right? But a lot of overseas brokerages, the cost for you to trade is substantially lesser than what it is with US based firms, right? Margin is lesser, leverage is higher, so you can make more money with a less amount of money needed. But the U.S. is trying to do is they're trying to block those avenues where it's like, yo, your only option is a U.S. based broker, but U.S. based brokers like, yo, this shit's expensive as hell. Prime example, I use TD, right? I trade on TD, bro. One contract of Nasdaq is 22 grand for to trade the Nas, and let volume pick up in freaking in 2024, bro, that should have probably ended up going to like maybe freaking 40 grand for just one contract. If you're brokering with an overseas broker, it might only cost you $600, $1,000, $2,000 to trade the same thing that it would cost you 40 grand on the US side. So, bro, like they're literally coming for people.
The 2-year yield a little bit firmer today,
Bro.
4.37%.
Bro.
The trend has been to buy bonds as well as
Bro,
stocks.
they-
We're 30
they-
minutes here into the trading session. Here are 3 big movers we're watching, starting with Intel.
Yeah.
Israel's government granting the company $3.2 billion for a new $25 billion chip plant in that country. More details on that move later this hour. Plus, Manchester United shares moving higher after British billionaire Jim Ratcliffe signed a deal to buy a quarter of Manchester United for $33 per share. And another deal for Bristol Myers, acquiring radiopharmaceutical firm Raise Bio for about $4.1 billion, $62.50 per share in cash. Bristol Myers is down 27% year to date. But Scott, if you look at the market backdrop right now and just how it's climbed 8 weeks strong, for instance, on the back of central bank speak, on the back of falling inflation rates and better economic data, I think the chart of the day that I pulled out here shows the expectation and how they've changed for major central banks. The Fed, the Bank of England, and the European Central Bank. Wall Street is expecting next year to be in cutting mode for all of the central banks. If you look at the graph of that's where rates are expected to go. Obviously, you saw the run up this year. That's the highs. And then next year, Wall Street is increasingly getting comfortable with the fact that inflation is coming down to the point where they can begin to normalize and bring rates lower. The thing is, they're now looking for about around five cuts each from some of these major central banks. Is that going to be too optimistic? Is it going to be right on target? I think that's going to be the question of the year. But as of this morning, swaps market's not looking at almost 100% odds that Fed goes in March.
Well, the market's been right. I think you can say that the Fed has had to come to the market, and that's what happened at this last meeting, and that is why we are where we are.
Yeah, it's gonna be
in
something.
terms of that rally that's happened since really a Waller.
They're trying. They're trying.
That Powell didn't do anything to throw cold water on, and that's why stocks were able to continue to climb. We're going to debate whether the market's over its skis at all in terms of the number of cuts that it expects in 2024, and we're just going to have to wait and see. But we've got inflation going in the right direction, and the economy's been holding strong, but not too strong, and that's been a good part of the story too.
Right, because the risk is they could flare inflation up again if financial.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they're going in. They're going in there, and they're offering better deals, and they're not over there like offering deals to where it's like, oh yeah, you know, our way is superior to your way. Like they're respecting their ways and their culture and everything like that. So yeah, so which is gaining a lot of traction and favorability with the African nations.
So they might feel more comfortable lowering rates, but I think one of the questions is, do they?
But yeah, bro. But like I've been very adamant of like setting something up overseas because it's just like I said it before and I'll say it again. Like this country is going down a communist route where it's like you do what we say, don't ask no questions, no nothing. And it's slowly going to the point where, yo, they can take what they want from you. And not for nothing, but yo, we really don't own shit out here. Like, even our house, like, yo, we buy a house out here, bro. Like I be mad if you like. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, like, you know what, it'd be a nice, revenue generated. But then I'm like, yo, like, I don't actually own it. Versus like, I go overseas, bro. I buy land and a property overseas. Like, I own that shit. Like, the government can't come take that shit away from me. But here in the States, bro, it's like, yo, yeah, the house that you bought that you think you own, like, nope, like, that could be taken from you. That car that you bought that you think you own, like, nope, that can be taken from you. Like, it's ridiculous.
Sort of waiting too long to start hiking, whether they wait too long to start cutting and snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. I know that that will be part of the conversation too as we look towards the trajectory of the Federal Reserve, when it's going to start cutting, whether it waits too long and risks the story that they've been able to tell that's been pretty good to this point.
They don't want to wait too long. They don't want to be premature.
Yeah,
They gotta
like,
stick the landing, and it's always it's art. It's a balancing act. Usually they stay too long historically when it comes to those higher rates. But let's continue the conversation now and bring in an expert on this, former Federal Reserve economist Claudia Sahm and Wolf Research chief investment strategist Rick Senyak. It's great to see you, Claudia. I know you've done a ton of work on this, both at the Fed and post-Fed. Do you think the market's expectations are right for what's going to happen next year?
it's coming. It's about to break.
I don't think we'll see a cut in the first quarter.
So is NQ. Come on. Yeah, I'm looking for NQ to
You don't get them every
push,
month, right? I do think May is completely on the
push
table.
to at least a
The Fed is
73.
data-driven, and
I'll drop a contract at
they wanna hit two
back at
nines
50,
So
1752. We get back up there, I'll drop a contract.
in a good direction going down.
Right now I'm
And they're
in
going to
2.
respond to that.
Do you think it's a bigger risk at this point that inflation remains sticky and
I had gotten filled at that
downside?
1732 area, so I'm just looking to see a candle close above
Of this whole inflation cycle.
1745, which I think we're about to get that soon.
The extraordinary pricing power that businesses have had due to COVID disruptions. I mean, we have worked through a lot of COVID disruption, and really that's the last one.
Yeah,
And
bro,
as
it's a
that
lot
starts to
lot of things to prepare for 2024, bro. Like, and I don't want to be that, doom and gloom dude or whatever, but I'm like, yo, there's so much shady shit going on the back end that like people are not seeing, like a lot of things people thinking or whatever, and it's just like, dude, it's like they're slowly closing up the noose around the people's necks and whatever, and then it's like, yo, we know based on like certain interviews, right, that like in another few years we might get a freaking another pandemic. Then it's just like, yo, there's certain things like, yo, if you pay attention to, right, we're looking at sometime in 2027, right? And it's crazy because like some of my friends like I've been talking to about like, yo, preparation, like, yo, buy some gold, buy some silver, have some cash on hand, right? And I'm just like, just in case, something happens with the banks or whatever. Let's say, we have a freaking crisis where, internet goes down or whatever. I was like, yo, you want to be able to have a means. And then like it's gotten to the point where I'm like, all right, like going to the gym, like I'm really strong at like moving weights and stuff like that, but like I'm picking back up like running outside. Yesterday I did like 3 miles just to get the cardio up, because I hate running. Like I prefer to sprint than run. But I'm just like, yo, like going into 2024, bro, like I'm just getting everything in line where getting, I'm gonna be challenging myself to get, in better shape, healthier all around, from, being able to have like explosive energy, to be able to have the stamina to, maybe run 5-10 miles, without having to like huff and puff and have my chest burning. Picking up, I'm going to be doing some tactical training, right? First aid training and all that other stuff. I'm not saying like, yo, it's going to get like to that point of doom and gloom, but I rather be prepared in the event that, we have another massive pandemic where, people get locked down, or let's say they implement martial law and people can't go out or whatever, and like, you know, you're just gonna have people doing some crazy ass shit, and it's just like people, some people, you know, depending on how sheltered they've been, it's like they might have not noticed that, yo, since the pandemic, like, you got criminals being extremely bold, like robbing people in broad daylight, because, you know, like, now it's normal to walk around with a ski mask, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, yo, somebody could just walk up to you, boom, pull out something, and you know, and rob you. And if you look at the states where everyone carries a firearm, yo, crime in those states are like very, very low, because it's like, yo, you come try to rob me, like, there's 9 times out of 10, like, you try to approach someone, like, they have a gun, they have a concealed weapon too, you know what I mean? And it's like, you gotta learn how to use that shit. So every state where people have guns, yo, like, majority of the population has weapons, firearms, there's very, very low robberies and stuff like that. But now you go to states where they're making, you know, a possession of a firearm illegal. Well, okay, well, the people that follow the law don't have it, but guess what? The people that don't follow the law has it. So now you're at a disadvantage. Like, bro, get out of here, yo. And then on top of that, like, you're maneuvering things to take more of my hard-earned money from me. Nah, bro, miss me with this bullshit. And you're killing us slowly with the poison in the food, bro. They're gonna be you know they pushed the whole artificial chicken, right? Bill Gates pushed the whole, like, first it was meat, bro. Like when Beyond Meat first came out, I would eat Beyond Meat, right? They got introduced to Burger King. I hadn't eaten Burger King in years, but I remember, like, when Burger King, like, you know, first implemented the Beyond Meat, I'm like, you know, I'll test it out, right? So um so instead of like, you know, doing the whole regular meat, it's like, I'll try it out. I tried it out, and what I was like, it's good. But then once I found out Bill Gates got involved with them, bro, I was like, I'm good.
Just see that market's pricing in very much so now,
Mhm.
100% odds of a soft landing, and we think there are other outcomes that are equally, if not higher, probability.
Right, good discussion. Thank you, guys. We'll continue it in the new year. Claudia Sam, Chris Senye. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We do have some new housing data out this morning revealing October home prices posted the biggest gain of the year. Diana Olick has the latest there. Hey, Diana.
Hey, Scott. Yeah, home prices rose 4.8% nationally in October compared with October of last year. This according to the S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller Home Price Index. And that is a jump from the 4% annual increase in September. It marks, as you said, the strongest annual gain this year. Now, the strength in home prices came despite a sharp rise in mortgage interest rates in October. The average on the 30-year fixed loan crossed 8% on October 19th, according to Mortgage News Daily.
Really?
That was the highest level in more than 2 decades. Rates, however, dropped steadily through November and more sharply in December, with the 30-year fixed rate now hovering around 7%. So with rates lower, much
Oh,
lower,
here we go.
home
Here we
prices
go.
really have nowhere to go now but up in the coming year, especially given still very low inventory. I want to go
Yeah,
local on the
bro.
prices, though. Among the top 20 cities,
Mhm.
Detroit reported the largest
Yeah,
year-over-year
so it's like,
gain in
yo,
home
like,
prices,
we gonna
6.5%,
have some
and in
some
Oakland,
difficult
7.1%,
times ahead, and,
and
you know,
1%
I
gain.
rather
Home
be in a
prices
situation where, like, I'm fully prepared than not, bro. And like, what, like, some people, when I talk about this, they're like, they look at me like I'm straight like conspiracy theory, or they're like, yo, like, what, you think Armageddon is coming? I'm like, bro, like, whether it is or isn't, I was like, I'd rather be prepared than not be prepared. Like, I even, like, started getting my siblings to, like, yo, y'all gotta purchase some firearms. Like, we gotta start going to the range. Like, y'all gotta get right. You know what I'm saying? You gotta even boxing and stuff like that, hand to hand. And again, it's not saying that, like, things will get to that extreme, but even if you make it, right, like, even like, oh, you become successful, like, whatever happens, like, you're gonna be a target. You're a target if you become extremely successful and whatever. I mean, because the degeneracy that's going on in this country has just been multiplying and growing with each passing year. So it's just like, you're living in a place where there's not many people with morals, there's not many people with values. You have people that they rather, you know, go and take from someone than actually work for theirs, right? So it's just like, do you want to be this person that walks around, you know, thinking everyone's all gonna sing kumbayas and whatever? It's like, nah, it's literally gonna be a battle of the haves and the have-nots and whatnot. And you know what I mean? So it's like,
2 months.
yeah.
It's the Casino Hunger Games as companies compete for a big prize, a license in or around New York City.
It's the largest company investment in Israel's history, as Intel announces new details regarding its $25 billion chip factory plans. Horse walk on the street, straight ahead, don't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Hey, copy, copy. Well, we're about to break this 52, so I'm about to drop a contract and then keep the other for if we can break 73. And then once we break 73, it's like, all right, cool. But yeah, bro. So let's see what else. Nope, it's not. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's yeah, that was the one thing that like I like anyone that come across, bro, like that wants to do trade or business. I'm like, yo, especially when it comes to trading, you wanna operate as a business. You do not like this country, and I was glad that like I learned this very, very early on in my trading career. It's like, yo, you have to operate as a business because it was crazy where like one year, I think like one year like I made like 350K and the taxes that I paid on it was ridiculous. And then I met a dude in Florida where he was just like, yo, it's like, what? It's like, yo, it's like, nah, he's like, you need to operate as a business. I'm like, as a business? He's like, yeah. He's like, yo, like you get to deduct everything. I was like, what you mean? He's like, okay, if you're living here or if you're making this and everything is under your business, like, cause it's money already, you're already gonna spend anyways. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you make, so he was like, yo, if you make 100,000 and you purchase this, that, and the third and whatever, and like my rent at the time was like maybe like what 12 grand a month, and I would pay every 6 months. I would pay like the rent, utilities, everything and whatever, so I wouldn't be bothered, right? So I have like straight up like 6 months, like just no headaches. I just have to focus on trading. And it's like, well, you as an individual, you make, and then when I really started like looking into the tax and finding out like, yo, as an individual, I take a 10 or 20 grand loss for the year. Like it's gonna take me over 4 years to write that off. And let's say, and for example, like, and which is why I tell a lot of people, it's like you start trading, you lose $10,000 this year, right? Next year you make that same $10,000 back. Like, yeah, break, so you're literally at break even. But in the eyes of the IRS, you're profitable 7 grand. So even though you're at break even, you have to pay. So I'm just like, yo, when you really start following the numbers and you really start dissecting shit, I'm like, yo, this is stupid. I'm like, I'm at break even. But as a business, yo, I could lose 50 grand right now, make 50 grand next year. Boom, I'm at break even. But then fuck around, I can go and I can put my rent under the business, right? Because I'm trading in, you know, in like in the biggest area of the room. So now my half of my rent, if not all of my rent, is a write-off, right? Because businesses are able to purchase all these different things. My vehicles, like, okay, I go and I purchase a vehicle on the car, you know, below the 6,000 the 6,000 pound mark or whatever. You divide the cost that you spend for that vehicle into 5 years. So every year you're able to deduct a certain amount. I'm like, yo. And literally I tell people everything that I know that I'm making money and moving, I learned outside of school. I learned outside of college. If you ask me, it's like, yo, I'm a college dropout. I was going to school for business management, and then I at some point like a light bulb hit, and I'm just like, yo, if I get this, like, this is going to be my safety net to where, like, if I go and pursue, you know, my entrepreneurship, and if I fail, it's like, you know what, I could fall back, right? So like I didn't want that safety. And I'm like, yo, it's make it or make it. Like, there's no other option and whatever. And then, yo, I dropped out. Like, I literally dropped out after I had finished my accounting class because I just wanted to finish my accounting class so I know that I wouldn't get the wool put over on my eyes, because the state that I live in is like number one. It's the number one crookedest state in the United States of America. Right, used to be ran by mafias and stuff like that. So very corrupt state. I mean, and we already know that politicians are pretty corrupt in themselves. So once I learned accounting to where I'm like, okay, I can balance my books and do everything, and I know that no one is gonna like pull the wool over my head. Like, I still use an accountant because I don't want to go through that tedious process, but I can know if they're stealing money from me or if they're laundering money from me and whatever, versus me just, oh, here's everything, just do what you do. Like, nah, bro, like, you need to know what's happening in every aspect of your business, and that's where a lot of people mess up, where they'll start the business, like they can start the business, but they don't want to deal with the process, nor do they care to know about, the inner work of things, especially on the taxation side. It's like, yo, like, you're giving an accountant access to your documents. You're giving them access to an account for them to, do what they do, and they can maneuver, things and take money from you. And I was just like, nah, bro, like, I'm about to get caught with my pants down. So that's when, like, yo, I was like, once I learned that, I dropped out, and to be honest, best freaking decision I ever made. And every year, like, it just gets better and better and better. And I learned more and more. I went from that to, like, I learned about banking overseas, Swiss. Then I learned about trust and how to like layer things to get like additional protection and whatnot. And these are all things that, bro, like, I literally feel that they should teach us in school, especially about money, bro. Like they don't teach people about money. Like, yo, what, you're short on oil? You saw how it popped up, but it created a lower high. Hope you caught it at the highs. But yeah, dude, like, there's so many stuff that they should have taught us in school instead of freaking geometry and trigonometry. It's like, bro, like, I don't use none of that shit.
Bigger problem will return to be how just the relative oversupply versus the demand projections that we also are.
So first 6 months of the new year, we going under 70?
You'll see tests of it, absolutely, yes, Scott, because the weather's not cooperating. We are going to have a glancing blow of cold air here in North America and Europe in the first part of January, the way the atmosphere is setting up. But after that, it's looking like a super warm January, come middle of the month, into the balance. And then for the natural gas market and the heating oil market, it's game over. So we're going to have another bust of the winter here in North America, it looks like, in terms of heating demand. And that's really going to hurt because the distillate part of the barrel, or the diesel part of the barrel here for crude, has been the saving grace for the industry for several years now. To the extent we lose that, then you're really going to see prices get sloppy all around.
Appreciate it, John. Be well. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Thanks, John Kildown.
Staying with energy, our Pippa Stevens is looking at one asset outperforming its peers this year. Pippa?
While nuclear power is having a renaissance this year and as momentum behind the industry grows, that's pushing up uranium prices. Spot prices have gained more than 80% this year and are now trading at a nearly 16-year high, according to data from USC. And they could be heading even higher given an undersupplied market. Prices collapsed in 2011 after the Fukushima disaster, and so companies didn't invest in new capacity. But now new reactors are being built, and we haven't seen a lot of new production follow. So next year, global uranium demand is forecast at 175 million pounds, while supply will be just 144 million pounds, according to estimates from Sprott Asset Management. Now, up until this point, through numerous rounds of sanctions against Russia, the country's nuclear industry has not been targeted because they play a key role, controlling around 38% of global uranium conversion and 46% of enrichment. But there are growing calls in Washington to sanction the industry, which could lead to a shortage. And investors have taken note. The URA and URNM, two funds that track the space, rising 47% and 54% this year, respectively. Sarah, a bit of an under-the-radar play here.
Yeah, thank you for that, Pippa Stevens. Still to come, it is the Hunger Games for casino companies, vying for a big prize, which is a license in or around New York City. We've got new details when we come back. By the way, on the broadening of the rally, Russell 2000 hitting an over 20-month high now, up another almost 0.5%. We'll be right back.
Yeah, buddy. Tell them, talk to us nice. Let's see. But yeah, bro. And then the crazy part is like, especially like this year, all of like literally everyone that I was like, yo, you were born in another country, get a second passport. Your parents was born in another country. I was like, yo, it's so much easier for you. Like, you're not gonna have to like pay any money. I was like, yo, renew that passport, right? Yo, some of them got on it, some dragged their feet, and I'm talking like from people that work on Wall Street, to business owners, to people that work like in the government and stuff like that. And I was just like, yo, like get this done. And then they didn't listen, whatever. But then like this year, like towards the after summertime, bro, they're like, yo, now I see why you were saying this thing like back 2 years ago. And I'd be like, bro, like I don't say shit because I love the sound of my voice. I'm like, yo, like when I tell you like I'm heavily in tune with like what's going on here, but not only here, like in Europe, in the Middle East, in Asia. And I was like, yo, I have like certain outlets and certain connections. I was like that you otherwise wouldn't, because I mean, like obviously, you have your, your daily life. You're working a 9 to 5. You have a family, da da da, whatever. I was like, yo, but I was like, I'm not encumbered by none of that. So I'm like, I have like free range, but like I'm staying on top of a lot of shit. So I was just like, yo, when they're going, like they're gonna do this, that, and the third, like nah. Okay. So they start doing it. I tell them about COVID. I'm like, yo, that's like in COVID when I started the whole trading thing, copy trade. And I'm like, yo, like let's do this because you work in for the government, or you work in a public place and whatever, and they're gonna be like, yo, either take the shot or lose your job. Nah, they're like that. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that. I was like, all right, cool, bro. Literally 3 months later, boom. And I'm like, I had already saw this coming, months in advance and whatever. So then after they come up to me like, yo, like how the hell do you know? I'm like, it's obvious. I'm like, look at the money. The more people that takes these vaccines, the more money they make. So guess what? So they're gonna force people. I was like, damn with your rights and whatever. And it's like, yo, and you guys really think, especially when it's like people are so oblivion to the atrocity that this nation has committed, like do I say like am I like, I'm not saying that like I'm not happy to be an American citizen or whatever, but it's just like it's the actions of like a few bad apples that's tarnishing the whole thing. But it's like when you look at who's at the helm, driving this vehicle and whatnot, and you see some of the stuff that they've done, it's like, yo, you can't, like, I'm a big advocate. It's like, don't sit here and do something, and then when somebody goes and does the same thing you're doing, like, you're gonna get mad and talk shit about them. It's like, bro, like, don't do that. Like, you were doing this, like, you did this, you started this, now you gotta reap the consequences of your actions and whatever. But yeah, so like, you know what I mean? I told him that, then I told him about the real estate market, interest rates. It's like, oh no, they're gonna cut it. I'm like, no, like they're gonna continue raising it and whatever. And it's like, so everything, like, just again, like just being able to, be in the markets and being able to identify certain things and just looking at the behavior of things. It's just like, yo, like, I don't know, to me it becomes like, it's clear as day. It's like, okay, this is what's happening, this is this, and then I take all those different variables and I'm like, okay, what are the most likable, likely scenarios that can come of this, right? And yeah.
Howard Glazer spearheaded the state's efforts at legalizing casino gambling nearly a decade ago.
This may be the last greatest untapped market in the world. Estimated $5 billion in gross revenue.
Las Vegas Sands has spent years and tens of millions of dollars lobbying for a license to build a casino resort at the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island. Community support is crucial. Caesars publicizes all the businesses that back its bid, with SL Green and Jay-Z
SVB
office tower in Times Square. This year, Bally's bought Trump Links in the Bronx. Will likely jobs a casino brings. MGM Resorts already operates Empire City, a casino in Yonkers, but is proposing a world-class resort.
Oh, that's how I knew. That's how I knew. That's how I knew.
Shopping destination in
Oh yeah.
In Queens, Mets owner Steve Cohen has partnered with Hard Rock
Bruh.
International, owned by the Seminoles.
They push that narrative.
Near Citi Field into a
Bro,
destination
they push that narrative like it's literally, it's literally all theater. Like it's literally all theater. what let me know that we were gonna have a run on banks here in the U.S. was because in April, May of 2022, we had China had a run on banks, and you didn't hear about it on none of the on none of the mainstream media out here. Certain other media outlets like were not covering it, or they were being blocked. And like a lot of these countries, they're very strategic and keeping certain information from being able to get out and whatever. So when I saw that like China had a run on banks, like you had people protesting, coming from different provinces to try to get their money, and with them, like it was over like 6 billion that was lost and taken. And I was just like, oh shit, like now people were getting scared to like, yo, they want to take their money out. So I'm like, damn. I was like, and I already know like things always trickle down, right? So China, most people don't know, like, all right, when it comes to the economy and the markets, China was the first market. Then it was the European, and then obviously, out of the three, the US is the youngest, right? So when things starts over there, it just trickles down, because more than ever, the symbiotic relationship between all these different markets are at as high as they've ever been, right? So knowing that this is happening in China, and then before this, I don't know if you remember what happened with Evergreen. Do you remember the company Evergreen, which is like China's, baby company? All right, so Evergreen is a massive development company in China, and basically they defaulted on some of their loans and debt, right? So that happened to China. So every country has their baby, or a specific group of companies that's like that's their thing, that's their cornerstone. In the US, it's the automotive industry, right? The US government did not allow the automotive industry to go belly up, even though like they fucked up, right? So China, it's Huawei, and it was Evergreen, right? So Evergreen defaulted on their loans, and that caused the U.S. market to drop 3.5% pre pre-market, right? Like during the Asian session, London session, and the first hour of the New York session, like the market was already down 3.5%, and that was just off of a Chinese company that had you could basically say nothing to do with over here in the U.S. But because they defaulted, it scared investors all across the board. So when I saw that China was having a run on banks, people from different provinces were going to banks in other cities to try to get their money out, and they weren't able to. I'm like, oh shit, my ears perked up. I'm like, we could have this happen here. So then I was like, yo, I started telling people, yo, if you got money in the bank, yo, take some out, because if we have a run on banks, you're not gonna have access to your money. Then buy some gold, buy some silver, just because I'm like, in the last few years, a lot of these countries, they've been piling up on gold, and it's just like, you know what I mean? You wouldn't like stuff like that wouldn't be happening unless there's a major shift coming, and I don't know exactly precise like what it is, what day it's going to necessarily happen, but I like to follow what the big money is doing. So if they're buying gold, shit, I'm gonna buy some gold. And overall, it's good to have, because in a technological age, bro, all it takes is a freaking EMP or some crazy person doing some outrageous shit to knock all that out. And you see the hacks that happened before the Evergreen situation. There were several US infrastructures that were hacked, right? Quote unquote, either through some Russian hackers or Chinese hackers, or whatever. But at the end of the day, it shows that we are vulnerable. And I mean, all technology to a degree is vulnerable to where it can get hacked, unless you have a squad of skilled individuals protecting. Because like, who protects these infrastructures from getting hacked? Are other hackers that can do that. You know what I mean? So yes, I was just like, yo, man. So when I see certain things happen in China and EU, I'm like, yo, it's so things will start in China, and then the EU is probably about maybe 4 weeks behind the US. The US will be about 6 to 8 weeks behind. So let's say if in China, let's say that like sometime next year, right? something happens in China where the economy starts, spiraling down, you can anticipate that within a 6 to 8 week time span, that same thing is going to happen here in the U.S. Within 3 to 4 weeks of it happening in China, it'll happen in the European Union, and then 3 to 4 weeks after that, it'll happen here. So you can factor in about an 8 week separation between something happening in China and then trickling down to here. And yeah, so me knowing all this stuff, and again, these are all things that one was not taught in class, right? If you're learning trading from someone, they're not teaching you these different things that do affect the markets and even current events, bro. Like during the time where people were getting killed by police officers and stuff like that, bro. Yo, Smith and Wesson went up. The body cam, when they first started implementing the body cam, yo, that was a major return, when it came to the market. Like even GoPro went up, bro, like during that period. So it's called like a sympathy play and whatnot. But there's so many different things that can provide with different opportunities, but you just have to be present and following what's going on the current events, what's going on politically. And and a lot of people don't understand, like, you don't have to be like, oh, I'm either Republican or Democrat or independent. Like, you don't have to identify with one specific party, but you do need to pay attention to what each party is pushing, what they're saying, what they're planning to do, because every decisions they make, bro, affects us from our everyday personal life to our business life. You know what I mean?
Militants have been targeting American troops. President Biden authorized the retaliatory strikes after 3 service members were hurt in a Christmas Day drone attack. And Beijing just broke a more than 70-year-old record. The city has experienced more than 300 hours of sub-zero temperatures since December 11th, something it hasn't seen since 1951. On top of the historic lows, the cold wave also brought in blizzards and significant snowfall, Sarah. Not a record I want to be part of.
No, it's been very warm here.
Yeah.
Flip to that. Thank you, Solana.
Yeah.
Well, it is the day after Christmas, and people around the country are already playing with their new gifts. But which tech company won the holiday? Our Steve Kovac has that for us. So, Steve, what's the verdict?
Yeah, Sarah. So, look, I do this every year. Look at the App Store data, see what kind of bubble to the top of the App Store rankings, gives you a snapshot in time of what people are buying on Christmas. And look, the trends for new iPhone owners, plus the accessories they're buying. And the big winner here, it is Meta. The Quest app was at the top of the App Store on Christmas Day, and that means likely a lot of people activating new Quest 3 headsets. Meta now has a head start on mixed reality, and Apple says it's going to launch its Vision Pro soon, maybe as soon as February, guys. And look, that plays into the gaming idea, but also gaming is another big theme besides virtual reality. The Xbox app, number 7 in the App Store, PlayStation 11. This is the first year consoles are available after all the supply chain problems over the first 3 years. And by the way, some mainstays here. Right behind Meta, you have Alexa. That means lots of echoes under Christmas trees. But guys, we got to talk about the Apple Watch here, because the ban for the Series 9 and the Ultra 2 goes into effect today. So folks who got gift cards for the Apple Store, probably not going to be able to buy one, guys.
What's the end game with this? I think I mentioned earlier, as far as I read, Apple can appeal this in court, correct?
Yeah, so they tried a last-minute appeal with the ITC. That's the agency that put into effect this ban. They lost that over the weekend. They had until December 25th, the Biden administration, to veto this. They did not do that either. So the ban is in effect now, and basically, Scott, they have to work around these patent issues, whether that's on the software level, the hardware level, or both. But like, to put some dollars on this, Morgan Stanley has a note saying, for every week that this ban continues in the March quarter, starting after the new year, they could potentially lose, or they won't be getting, rather, $135 million in revenue. Overall, this could have a 2% impact on revenue for Apple for the quarter if it goes the entire quarter without figuring this problem out. And as you know, Scott, as Apple tries to look to return to that top-line revenue growth in the holiday quarter and throughout 2024, they're going to need every advantage they can get, because demand has been so low for smartphones, and the Vision Pro is not going to do it. The growth, the renewed growth in services isn't going to do it. So they really need every little bit that they can get, and this is a big ding for them, Scott.
Just crossing the wires, Steve and Scott, Apple's filing an emergency motion with the U.S. Appeals Court
Yeah.
to pause the Apple Watch import ban. And just another date here, they're asking the appeals court to pause the ban until U.S. Customs make a decision on January 12th on whether Apple's redesigned watches do avoid the Moscow.
Okay, so there we
So
go.
they're trying to get around it.
Yeah, and they'll keep trying that. But look, I mean, it sounds like that's a software level that they might be looking at too. But right now, Sarah, the watches are banned. You cannot go into an Apple store and pick one up. There's some other cheaper versions that don't have that oxygen sensor. That's at the heart of this patent issue. That's the cheaper version. But these are the latest and greatest Apple Watches. They only came out in September, and now they're banned in the United States, the most lucrative market for Apple. So it's a big loss for them, Scott.
Yeah, no doubt. Steve, thank you. Steve Kovac with the latest on Apple. Let's pivot to another big tech play. The year of efficiency hasn't paid off for Meta. Steve Smart Kelly joins us now. It's nice to see you. So it obviously paid off. I mean, the stock's up huge, 200% or so. What does it mean going forward? Did we pull so much forward in this year of efficiency that next year is not going to be as pretty from a performance standpoint?
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Happy holidays. You know, do I expect another almost 200% outperformance or performance in 2024? The answer is no, but I do still think there's a little bit to go, not only from just being efficient, but also just, you know, some drivers on the top line as well. You know, things from a recently announced kind of partnership with Amazon. You've got some things that Apple has changed that actually benefit Meta more than the other social names. So I think, you know, 2024 should also be a good year for Meta.
I mean, you're still looking for a considerable bump in the stock, right? Over $400.
I am, yeah. You know, one thing I really want to hammer home is some of the changes that Apple has made over the last 2 years, you know, negatively impacted Meta and some of the other social names. Apple's actually making it a little bit easier and better for advertisers to target people, but also measure the effectiveness of their ads. So some of those changes have already rolled out, but there's one that's very specific that is just rolling out now that favors Meta more than others. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but essentially, if you're a smaller advertiser, you can get more granular data back from Meta or back from Apple if you're using the most scaled platforms, and by far that is Facebook and Instagram.
What happened to the metaverse and our future in the metaverse amid the year of efficiency and the pivot to AI?
Yeah, you know, I think the metaverse is still overhang. I don't want to go so far as to say that investors are comfortable with that investment, because they're certainly not. You know, in our model, we're at least looking for another $15 billion in operating losses for that segment in 2024. But I do think the AI initiatives that they have really, you know, carried through across the entire platform. So the recommendation engine for the users has improved. We've seen time spent improve there as a result. Things like dynamic creative.
Peace don't put money in their pockets, bro.
Different advertising units on the fly, things like that. You know,
Peace does not put money in their pockets. Like, the shit is, it's wild, bro. Like, it gets me so mad as a taxpayer, bro. Like, it gets me so mad to see, like, yo, like, the dumb shit that they're doing with the money. Like, and this is why, like, yo, we need more and more people, one, educated and like what's going on, two, not to be so consumed with the emotions of this and that, because I'm like, yo, it's all propaganda, bro. It's like, yo, they're the same, they're two sides of the same coin. I mean, Democrats and Republicans, two sides of the same coin. It's like, and some people, they don't even know the origins of the Republican Party. They don't know the origins of the Democratic Party. It's like, bro, like, just dumb, deaf, and blind, bro. Like, and it's just gotten to a point where, like I'll talk to those that like want to listen, or people that like show interest. Like, okay, they want to do something more. They want to prepare, bro. Like, I used to feel bad for people, but it got to a point where I'm just like, yo, like, we all have the ability to seek out, you know, knowledge, information, connections to grow our network, right? And when I say growing your network, like, you know, being able to, you know, go to events, and not saying you got to be some kind of social butterfly or whatever, but it's like, but you got to seek it out. I was like, yo, nobody came to me and I was like, yo, here's trading. Here's how you can learn about the markets and this and the third. Like I sought this out, right? So I used to feel bad for people, and, you know, in my community, like, oh my God, yo, you make it, da da da, and like, you know, and I'm seeing they're struggling and stuff like that. But then I'm just like, yo, like If anything, you had more opportunities than me, and you didn't seek nothing out. Like, you want to feed into this bullshit media about, you know, trying to live this street life to be like a rapper and da da da. I was like, yo, you know, all rappers are employees, right? I was like, unless they own their own label, and even those that own label, like, unless they're independent, like if they're under another label, bro, like, yo, they're still an employee. Someone else cuts their checks or whatever. And then it's like, yo, and they think that like all this street stuff, like it's something. I'm like, yo, it's nothing to brag about and whatnot. Like, it's, and you know, and if you want to sit here, like, you can sit here and feel bad for yourself, or like, yo, or you can be proactive and you know, go seek something out that resonates with you, that is going to help you get to where you want to get, right? But yeah, so I stopped feeling bad for people, and I was like, bro, like, cause like, I really used to like I used to go out of my way to try to help others, and then it just, yeah, it just got to the point where like I was taking losses, you know, trying to help people that, yo, a couple months in, like, oh no, they're not with it. Like, even now, like I have some friends that like I try to put them on to trading and stuff for years. They'll start, they'll walk off, like whatever. And you know, and like, and close family and friends, like before, like, yo, I'll give them any time of the day, like, oh, you want to learn, yo, I'll change my schedule around, whatever. And they got to a point, I'm like, nah. I was like, yo, like, people don't respect it unless they got some skin in the game. So I'm like, nah, you really want this? I'm like, all right, let me see. So like, I have like a prerequisite where I'll give them a book to read. I'm like, if you read this book, I was like, then you can talk to me about like mentoring you. If you don't read this book, like, I'm not even bothered. And then once they read the book, I'm like, all right, well, you gotta have some skin in the game. I was like, it's gonna cost you XYZ. I was like, you pay or you don't, because I'm like, at the end of the day, it's like, if you had a business, I'm not going to your business to, you know, ask you for a discount. Because if I go to Louis Vuitton, or if I go to the mall, or I go to Foot Locker or wherever, I was like, I'm not asking them for discounts. Or even like when I went to college, bro, I didn't try to negotiate. I didn't try to negotiate with the college on the fee that they were charging me to learn, you know, a business management. Like, it was just like, okay, this is what it is. This is what you pay. I was like, plain and simple. So yeah, bro, like, so many things, like I used to be so naive, but like so many things that like when I put logic to it, I'm like, yo, this is what it should be. So yeah. Yeah, this is what it should be, bro. Take it or leave it. You don't like it? Okay, cool, no worries. Like, yeah.
Welcome back. Shares of Boeing on a tear for the last 2 months, up nearly 50%. This comes off the news last week that Boeing delivered its first 787 Dreamliner to China since 2019. Joining us is Jason Gursky, analyst at Citi Research. He has a buy rating on the stock, price target of 315, which you increased. Why do you think it can go up from here, Jason?
Yeah, look, there's more, I think, good news ahead of us on a couple of things. First, you mentioned China here. You said delivering the first 787. We still have 737 deliveries ahead of us. And I think most importantly for the stock performance as we move into 2024 are orders coming out of China. There's been a three-step process going on here with China. A, getting the 737 flying again. Second would be getting deliveries into China, and Boeing's got a lot of inventory that it'll be shipping out into China in the coming year. And then the third step is
Yeah, it's tough, man. Not having many people in your circle that will support. This is where I'll say put the logic to it, right? Anyone that that doubts trading and whatever, and they doubt the market, ask them this: who do they work for? If they work for any company that's publicly traded, it's like their company is publicly traded on the markets, right? That's what you're trading. If they're in private equity, even private equity, those that's being traded, money's flowing through. Then outside that, ask them: do they have a 401k? Do they have an IRA? Do they have a Roth IRA? Right? Do they have CDs? Do they have mutual funds? So like, these are all instruments that are traded on the market, right? So how much of a gimmick is this industry where their whole livelihood and employment, right? Because all these companies, majority of these companies are traded on a publicly on the stock market, right? And if a CEO or someone comes in and they run this company downhill, guess what happens to that person's livelihood? Out the door. How many people can we say that either through hearing or through someone else worked 40, 50 years in a company, and just before they collect their pension, company went belly up or the company terminated them, right? Then if you want to drop some more facts to them, drop this. Okay, how many people during COVID, right, was threatened with the possibility of being fired if they didn't take the jab?
Price target 315 on Boeing.
Then if you want to go a little further than that, ask them, okay, well, how much of a gimmick is it if you give, again, 60 years to this company, and then at the last minute, let's say something happens, you get sick or whatever, what happens? Are they gonna send you a get well? No. Are they gonna return your whatever, what's it called, like when you have like days that you can take off? Sick days, PA, whatever it's called, whatever. I was like, if something happens, guess what they do? They just replace you. But again, everything in this world revolves around the market and money moving, whether it be here locally, federally, or overseas. So it's not a gimmick when all the major companies, right? All the major companies that are used to measure the health of this country is publicly traded in the stock market. They pay out dividends if you invest into them. And then it's like, if you have a retirement account, guess what? Your retirement account is not in a safety deposit box. It's not under the CEO's pillow. It is actively being invested and traded in the public markets. And then you want to take a step further, ask them, okay, do they have a savings account, right? Or even a checking account? Like, all right, you don't got to tell me how much you have in your account, but tell them this. Go look at your savings account. Look what type of money you received in the last year. What is that bank paying you per year on the amount of money that you have? If anyone says, if they say, oh, they made $6 in interest for the year, they have between 22 grand and $28,000 in their savings account, and they're making only $6 a year in interest. Meanwhile, the banks are making 15-20% on that same money by lending it out and investing in the markets. Facts. Facts. Oh yeah, yeah. To borrow your own money, bro, like it's crazy, dude. Like what? Yeah, bro. But you're gonna charge me 4.5? Yeah, bro. Yo, it's wild, man. So it's like when you stop, like, because like most people, they never really pay attention to their savings or checking. Like they don't even see that. And it's like for me, like I use me for example. I have a savings account that I make about $436 a year in interest, right? But guess how big is that account? Six figures, 132K. So it's like on 132K, I'm only seeing $400 a month. And it's like, do you know the amount of money you could make, whether it's swing trading or day trading? Not even utilizing the whole 130. You could just need 20K, 10K. 10K if you want to do between. Matter of fact, even with futures, I'll say between $1,000 to like maybe $5,000 on futures with a firm that has like low margins, like Tradeovate, or like, yeah, so like Tradeovate, you can literally open up $1,000 account and you can trade the mini NQ, right? And NQ right now, the way it's been moving this year, like moving hundreds of points a day, every 100-point movement on the micro NQ is $200. So if you get like literally twice in a week, where you catch, you average out a total of 100 points, maybe consecutively, or even like 50 points here, 20 points here, 30 points there. That's an extra $400 a week that you're making. Meanwhile, if you got your money sitting in a bank, I was like, it's gonna take, if it's anything under 6 years, but you're not seeing $200-300 return in interest rate. I mean, so those are all things to, like, whenever somebody talks like, oh, trading is a gamble, it's like, okay, well, waking up and leaving your house and going to work is a gamble, because there's so many different variables that can happen. We leave our houses, it's not promised that we're going to make it home, because there's so many other things out there. But then just have them look at the numbers, have them look at what they have in the bank account and what they're making in return. And then hell, like, you ain't even got to show proof like, yo, how much you're making. But if you're able to, like, yo, what, I took this trade, this is how much it cost me, this is how much I made. Like, I shut people up with numbers and facts. And
last but not least, although Intel previously confirmed it would spend $25 billion on expanding an advanced chip facility in Israel, the news today is that the plant will now be subsidized. The Israel government is providing
exactly. Alternative facts, like what? Like, nah, bro. Like, numbers. My big one of my favorite quotes is, numbers don't lie. Like, people lie, but numbers don't lie. Like, you cannot sit here and tell me 2 and 1 is 4, or 1 and 1 is 5. Like, no, like, it don't. When shit don't add up, it's like, nah, you really gotta check it. And another crazy thing is, like, a lot of people think like trading, you need to have all this crazy math skill. It's like, no, like, you just need basic shit. Like, who don't know add? I mean, and even then, it's like, you ain't even gotta add. You can work on percentage basis or whatever. Like, at least multiplication. It's like, who the hell doesn't know multiplications at least, right? But then it's just simple shit. Like, okay, well, I'm risking $50 to make $200. That's a great risk to reward ratio. People be thinking you gotta do algebra. I'm like, yo, you don't gotta do algebra, but I'm like, yo, simple shit. Like, yo, you look at this happen. Like, price comes here. If this candle closes above here, you go long. Price comes up here. If it doesn't close above it, you go short. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many easy shit. But like, when I started, I had mad people, relatives, friends. Oh, it's a gamble. It's a gamble. It's a gamble. A couple years later, they see the success, they see the road, they see how I'm moving. Yo, put me on, put me on. I tried to put you on before when I first saw it and whatever. Oh, nah. And then try to put them on. They drag their feet. I mean, then it's like, they go, they do their thing, whatever. I keep it pushing. They see me level up again. Yo, they get excited. Yo, come back. I'm like, yes, I make this look easy, but I'm like, but do you know the amount of time I put into this, bro? It's like, yo, 18 months of just straight up studying, no trades executed, just working, grinding. Like it got to a point where, like, my friends stopped asking me to go out to, like, clubs and lounges, because every time they hit me up, it was a straight no. Yo, let's go to this party. Nah. New Year's, Christmas, all of that. Yo, I didn't do shit yesterday, bro. Like I saw my family for New Year's Eve yesterday. You know what I was doing yesterday, bro? I was doing back end work, and I was looking at the charts, and I was getting my schedule and plans ready for 2024. So it got to a point where my friends, like, stopped asking me to go out, because they just knew my answer was no. But for 18 months, I studied, I grind to be able to have enough money to put in an account. And I did a lot of things that others weren't willing to do. I made that sacrifice, and it's put me in a position where I'm living the type of life that they see shit in movies, being on fucking yachts, traveling first class, picking up and going whenever I want, driving exotic cars, like making, making someone's yearly salary in a freaking day, losing someone's yearly salary in a day, in a week, and not even flinching and losing sleep over it, right? So all these different things, and it's just like, yo, you didn't want to do this when I was telling you about it. And and it's gotten to a point where I'm just like, yo, my time costs. Like, I try to give it to you when it was for free, right? To have you, like, come with me. You didn't want to, you didn't see the vision, you didn't believe it. So it's like, you know, now it's a bit late. Like, if you want my time, this is what it is. And now it gets to the point where like I literally test people. Like, I give them the naked forex. I'm like, yo, I send them the PDF. I'm like, read this. If you read this, then get back to me. If you don't read it, I was like, I can't talk to you. It's like, yeah, I was like, bro, one of my dudes, it took him a year to read the book, but once he read it, bro, like he came back to me. He's like, bro, I'm so mad I didn't read this right away. I'm like, I told you, you know what I mean? And so now I have like some people that, you know, they're trying to make a shift in their life and stuff like that, and that's something that like I notice like most people, some people or majority of them, like they won't go looking for it until they hit hardship or like until something like really dramatic happens. But it's like you kind of have to have that foresight to look, you know, constantly like evaluate your situation. Like, okay, this is what I have going on. It's like, am I comfortable with this? Is this what I really want? Do I want more? If I want more, yo, let's go get it. What do I need to do? Where do I need to go connect? Right? Research and whatever. And I was very skeptical of trading at first. Like when I first came across them sites or whatever, but I was willing to, you know, take the step and go to Miami and meet him and like I to really see if it's real and whatever. You know what I mean? But a lot of people they'll go off of what someone else said and not actually like what they experienced or what they threw. Because I would ask them like, "Yo, did you trade?" They're like, "No." So then I'm like, "How do you know it doesn't work?" It's like, "Oh, I heard from such and such." I'm like, "Well, people don't always tell you what they did wrong, right?" So I was like, they might have spun it in a way that, you know, to kind of have you like have sympathy for them or feel bad for them or be like, okay, yeah, yeah. And I was like, nah, I was like, yo, me, regardless of what it is, like I gotta see it for myself. I mean, unless like I know the person like to the level that like I know they're not gonna sugarcoat or fabricate stuff or whatever. It's like, all right, then. But even then, it's like, you know what? It's worth a try. And I knew very early on, like just watching, like where do all the wealthy people? What do they do with their money? The people that can afford to drop a quarter of a mil and not even flinch. The people that have $1 million on their wrist or their pinky or on their back and whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, look at the life that they're living. They're traveling. They're doing what they want when they want. Hella access to stuff. I was like, what do they do with their money? They invest their money. Where do they invest their money? Real estate, businesses, but more so than anything, the markets. Like, yeah, it's like, bro, like you look at what they do, and it's just like, well, if that's where you're trying to be, then you'd want to do what that person is doing, and not what the person that's in your same situation. Because like, I literally have people in the same situation as me tell me like, nah, it's a gamble. But I'm like, well, yeah. I'm just gonna keep pushing forward. Do you have a recommended broker for a personal account? Yes, I do. It depends. Are you talking futures and equities and stuff like that, or are you talking forex? On futures, my recommended broker has been Thinkorswim, but Thinkorswim is more on the expensive side, and I do like Tradeovate because their margins are crazy cheap. Like you could trade a mini. The Nasdaq Mini is only $100 during the trading day on Tradeovate, which is really awesome. For MT4, here's the thing. With MT4, some of the firms that I use, as a US citizen, you're not gonna be able to open up an account with them. One that I use that you guys could use that's reputable is called Coinex. Coinex, I'll type it up.
That is one. And second, in 2020, 2021, there was a massive amount of monetary
So Coinex is a forex brokerage. They have MT4 and they also have MT5. They're the one, like I've been with them for several years. There are other ones that I use, but like I said, if you're a straight up US a citizen, you're not going to be able to use them unless you have a relative overseas or you have someone in your immediate family that's, you know, that's from a different country or has a different nationality. I have the luxury of, you know, having dual citizenship, so I still have access to these brokerages that do not do business with any a U.S. based client or a U.S. citizen.
Optimistic scenario that everything works out
And
perfectly. And in my experience, something goes wrong, even though you can't say what it is that's going to go downhill.
yep. All right, bro. Yep.
The two wars certainly the geopolitical tensions weighing heavily
All right.
on the Eurozone. Right now we're talking about
Oh, I'll be on for sure.
another thing I know you're looking at is actually
All right,
sales
peace.
the dollar down more than 4% in Q4.
And then there were two.
That we could be facing a possible recession.
What about broker for crypto? For crypto, I'm a big advocate for crypto.com. So I don't necessarily day trade crypto. For me, crypto is more of a long-term hold, but you are able to trade crypto during the week with CoinEx. So CoinEx does allow you to trade crypto. You could also, I mean, there's Qcoin, there's MetaMask, Phoenix, something like that. So there's a few different avenues. Let me check my stuff. Hold on, I'll tell you. Crypto. Yeah, so MetaMask, Qcoin, and I think it's called Phoenix. For you to trade, if you want to trade crypto.
Some form of a repeat of a breakage within the system rather than a recession occurring by itself.
Yeah, I mean, if that happened, Sri, wouldn't Europe?
But I would honestly say,
economically, then the
yeah, either one of those is good.
weak, but there are expectations of cuts abroad too, and their economies are.
But definitely look at crypto.com as an exchange and as a place that you may want to hold some crypto. I'm really heavy in Crow, which is the crypto.com's coin. I'm really heavy on XRP and VeChain. I mean, I have a ton from Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polygon, Algorand, Cardona. So I hold a lot of crypto that I see that they have a really good utility in the years to come, solving certain issues. And the one thing about a lot of these coins is what they do cannot easily be replicated. And just FYI, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor by any means. So I'm just sharing what I'm personally doing. And I do, recommend that, regardless of what I say, like, do some due diligence, like take it upon yourself, like really dig in to these things. And, who knows, you may find a passion in, and really looking to see like, okay, oh, this has, great future potential based on the route that we're going, right? And it's like, okay, well, what's the route that we're going? Virtual reality, to the point where people are buying virtual land, right? That's ridiculous, which virtual land they can always create more of, right? But essentially, like, we're going deeper into a technological age, right? So there are coins that are backed up by technology that is going to further the growth of that. And something else to take in mind, right, is we had a pandemic, right, where people were locked in. And what happened? A lot of people started hosting concert and shows online. And moving forward, seeing that, we could potentially have another pandemic, which I'm pretty sure in our lifetime, we're going to see another one, is that we're going to get to a point where, individuals are going to be hosting, again, virtual concert, virtual gatherings, and all this other stuff. And there are some coins that are poised to explode when that happens, right? So there are a multitude of different variables that can happen to, push us to that narrative where we're going to have to see, things online. So if you guys want a list of the cryptos that I'm personally holding, I'm more than happy to share that with you guys. But I do say, before you purchase any, do some due diligence, right? Because When XRP, ran up to the dollars and change, like I didn't sell, which I probably should have liquidated some. But I had individuals that they bought at the highs, and then when it pulled back, they sold. When I'm like, it's pulling back, that's where you should add, because now you can lower your cost average, right? So when you decide to hold some of these coins long term, like, you're essentially an investor, so you have to move and conduct as such, right? Each level has different criterias: scalpers, day traders, investors, right? And then owners and whatever. So look into that. But I like crypto.com because they were the first ones to offer a debit card, and that debit card, you can essentially transfer whatever balance of whatever coin you choose to it, and you can, swipe. That card is Visa, which is pretty much accepted everywhere. You can also go to ATMs and take out cash. And I can tell you, like, personally, like, I've used it in Dubai, I used it in Costa Rica, Mexico, Colombia, where else? Oh, in Turkey, right? So I pretty much use this card internationally, and they always give like the best conversion rate because I've invested in the coin. So I hold about 3 million coins, like 3.6 million coins, crow coins, that I own. I'm a bit down on it right now because my average cost is 13 cents. um but I like, also another thing that I like about crypto.com is that within the exchange, so let's say you go and you invest, I don't know, let's say $5,000 in various coins. You can actually allow them to use your coins for liquidity, right? Liquidity meaning there's always has to be buyers and sellers to keep things moving. So if you allow them to use your coins for liquidity, they will pay you a percentage of, of the fees that they're charging and whatnot. So like for Bitcoin, you can get like up to 3% return by allowing them to use your coins for liquidity. So it's called earned crypto. So I love them for that. And then also on top of that, when it comes to security, they've had way better security measures than Coinbase. I'm not a fan of Coinbase because at one point my Coinbase account was hacked. A friend of mine's Coinbase account was also hacked, which I've never been a fan of. And the fact that, like, before, I mean, I know Coinbase have probably improved since then, but when I first started with them, you'd have to wait a week to get your Bitcoin. If you bought Bitcoin today, you'd have to wait 7 to 14 days to get it. With crypto.com, any coin you buy, it's instant, especially Bitcoin. But the fact of the matter that they were the first ones to offer a debit card, and essentially how that debit card works is like this. My favorite metaphor for this is if you own $1 million in Tesla, right? You own $1 million in Tesla. You want to take out, you need $200,000 to go purchase a property. Now, if you sell that 200,000, you actually have to sell more to be able to accommodate the taxes, right? So if you go to a bank and like, listen, here's my portfolio. I have $1 million in Tesla. I need a $200,000 loan. They're gonna give you that $200,000 loan at, like, let's say less than 1% interest, right? Which is way better than you actually selling $200,000 worth of shares and having to pay somewhere between 15 and maybe 20%. Also, again, varying on where your tax bracket is, right? So paying less than 1% is all day. So what crypto.com does was something similar to that, where you can actually debit, like, you're taking that money and you're transferring it into the card. And because you didn't commit a taxable event, and I'll state this, the IRS classifies a taxable event as when you sell your crypto into your fiat wallet. Your fiat wallet is USD. If you're overseas, it's Euro, or if you're in London, it's GBP. If you're in the Middle East, like let's say Turkey, it's the Turkish lira. If you're in the UAE, it's dirham, right? Wherever you are, that's your fiat, is your local geographic location currency, okay? So when I saw that crypto.com was doing that, and this was before they even bought the rights to put their names on that what used to be the Staples Center in LA, right? So they're doing a lot of innovative things, and another thing about them is they won several years in a row. They've won a security award from Singapore. And I don't know if you guys know much about Singapore, but Singapore is very up there in technology and security and stuff like that. So to be able to win an award from them for security is monumental, right? They have really good customer service where there was a point in time, I forget where I was, but like I had an issue where my card wasn't working. I literally went on the app, messaged them, and literally within an hour it was fixed, and I was able to use my card no problem. So, and again, with me saying all of these things, I'm not paid advertiser for them or whatever. I just like what they're doing, and I just like their functionality and the fact that they allow you to use your trading profits or your profits if you're trading with a funded account or if you're trading with a broker overseas that allows you to take out money via crypto. They allow you to use it without committing a taxable event versus Coinbase, where Coinbase, for you to use whatever profits you've made, you have to sell it into your fiat wallet. Then you have to transfer it to your bank. I do believe at some, I think last year or whatever, Coinbase started offering the whole debit aspect of things as well. But it's like you're not the first one, right? You know what I'm saying? You're second. But regardless of what I say, I encourage all of you to really, take the time, research into it, look into the company, see what they're doing, find out like, where they're located. Like anytime there's a company I'm interested in, like I want to know the full ins and out. Like, okay, where they're located, where's their office, where they're registered, like, what things what awards or what stuff have they had, where do they stand, and and you only know about the customer service by actually like, experiencing it yourself. Yes, read some reviews and whatever, but just be very meticulous as to where you're gonna put your money in, right? Like you I'll probably say like those of you guys that are parents here, like when you have a child, you want to know where your child is going, right? You want to know where your child is at all time because you know of the certain dangers that there is in this world. Well, treat your money as if it's your child. You need to know where it's at, where it's going, right? And before you put it somewhere, you need to do your due diligence, right? Or a pet if you have a pet. I mean, I'm sure some of you guys have, animals that you consider, your baby or your child or whatever. So yeah. So that, and again, any questions as far as to, what cryptos I have, like I said, I'm more than happy to share the list. There's a person called my funds in trust wallet, but listening to you, I think I'm like yeah, that's another thing too. Someone asking you to put I have Trust Wallet. Um they're a deregulated exchange wallet. But it's an issue sometimes getting your money out. So you want to put your money somewhere that's reputable. And and you got to ask the person like, yo, do you have money there? And even though if they say they have money in there, again, you should always verify and see for yourself because their criterias and what they look for may not align with yours and what your goals and stuff like that. So regardless of anyone telling you something, you always want to do your due diligence. Don't ever do anything blind because sometimes some people are not very meticulous and and where they're putting stuff. And if you don't know something and then something happens and you lose that money, it's like shit, you have no one to blame but yourself because you never really took the time to really know the ins and outs, right? So yeah, I'm happy to hear that me saying this is helping, and and anything, what regardless whether it be Coinbase, anywhere, like brokers, do your own due diligence. Don't ever take anything for face value, regardless if it's a friend, cousin, relative, family, whatever. It's like it don't matter who they are. It's like cool. I'm not saying you're lying, but it's like I just need to see stuff for myself. I need to read the fine print. I need to make sure I have every area covered. Otherwise, we could potentially have a TFT situation, where, you get taken for your money, and then it's like, bro, like, there's nothing you can do. You know what I mean? When it comes to crypto, like when you're transferring, if you're off by even a number or a letter, like that money will it's gone. Like there's no way of, getting it back. You can contact the exchange. It's like, yo, they just gonna throw their hands up like, there ain't nothing we can do. You know what I mean? So you always want to make sure that, you're going the most secure and safe route, and it's something that you're comfortable with, not that someone else is, right? But guys, feel free to ask any questions. I still have one contract left long on NQ. I'm really looking to see if we can pop this thing. If we can pop it at 70, we got real close to it. But yeah, any questions? Feel free. Or otherwise, I can just continue ranting on to different things. And for anyone that's looking to, do trading full time, again, not financial advice, but I will say, regardless if you're looking to do trading full time, or even if you're looking to do it part time, or even if you're looking to get funded, right? With some of these, with the funding companies that I use, the accounts are under a business, not personal. I have two personal, but everything else is under a business. Okay. If you're going to be trading with your own personal capital, great. Not that you would have to, but if you're more comfortable that way, you definitely want to have your account as a business, and not as an individual. Not only because of the taxation, but the write-offs and benefits are immense in comparison to as an individual. I personally have Wyoming and Florida. Wyoming, you have great privacy laws. Delaware too as well. Where no one will know that you own that company unless you tell them. So look into that. It's a relatively easy step. But if any of you guys are confused about it, you feel free to email me, ask me, and if I'm able to, I could possibly hop on a Zoom call and walk you through the process and stuff like that, or maybe make a video and upload it. I'm here to help. So any questions, feel free to ask. Once you register the company, there's a website that they can do all of that stuff for you as well. Since you don't have to be there. Let me see. I can look up what it is.
Still down year to date. Joining us with what to expect from 2024 in retail, former Macy's CEO, TJL Advisors founder Terry Lundgren. Terry, good to see you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Oh, Inkfile. I think, yeah, it's Inkfile. So Inkfile, you can use to file your business in Wyoming. It'll cost you about $350 to maybe $400, because you'll get a registered agent there to be able to receive the stuff that you need to receive to renew the business and so forth. And I would say, starting off, you want to start off as an LLC, and then once you see that you're projected to make over $250,000 in revenue, at that point you want to shift over to an S corp. And these are all things that you can talk to your CPA in your area to find out more in depth how certain things will pertain to you, because again, everyone's situation is different, and I don't want to sit here and assume, but I can give you guys some general information that can kind of apply to everyone. But you'll talk to your CPA. Inkfile will also help you. Will also get the EIN number, and once you have all that information, you have the company filed, you have the EIN number. You then go to a bank of your choice, and you open up a business account. You'll need some money to put into that bank account so you don't incur certain fees. And then once you have all of that, you can also email or contact the broker that you want to open up your personal account with. to be able to set up, you know, your trading account under your company. Now, if it's a funded firm like Apex, when it comes time to sign the contract, you're gonna sign your business's name, and then when the area where it asks for your social or EIN number, you're gonna put the EIN number of the business. And for those of you guys that don't know what an EIN is, an EIN number is basically the social security number for your business, right? It's the same equivalence.
That the new team led by Tony Spring is able to execute that without a great deal of distraction.
Hey, Terry, Frank Conlon here with Sarah Post Time. I want to talk to you about broader retail, if you don't mind. We mentioned that MasterCard spending pulse numbers.
Is Coinex regulated?
Restaurant spending.
Coinex is an unregulated broker. That's why they're able to accept U.S. clients. I wouldn't put too much money in there if you're not used to them. You want to put, you know, a little something to test out the waters, you know, get to learn. You to deposit and withdraw with them, it has to be via crypto. So you're gonna need a crypto wallet to be able to do that. Again, I would say, you know, look at some reviews. You know, you could test out the waters, you know, with a couple $100 just to see, you know, if that's really where you want to go. I think it was like probably like a week or two ago. I took out some profits from there via crypto. So it takes about 24 hours to process. But again, you'd wanna, you know, test the waters out yourself. Do you make an LLC for trading? Yes. So here's the thing. So when it comes time to do an LLC, if you're ever looking to, you know, possibly use your LLC or your business to, you know, acquire real estate and you want to build business credit and stuff like that, you have to be very cautious in the name or classification that you choose for that business. Now, if you want to have a flat out, straight up, you know, this business is going to be strictly for trading and stuff like that, then yeah, pick a name, add trading to it, or whatever name, LLC, you know what I mean? It's up to you. But yeah, you can make a business strictly for trading, and then you can take those papers, submit it to E-Trade or Interactive Brokers or TD Ameritrade or Lightspeed or TradeStation or Iron Guardian. I mean, there's so many different brokers out there, but all these brokers, they accept businesses to open up accounts, trading accounts for the businesses. And again, I'll state, the benefit of having your account as a business is if you take a loss this year, you can write off that loss all next year. And if you take a loss right now and next year you break even, but then you know, based on some of the revenue that was coming in, you're able to use that to get a vehicle under the business, or you go and you put your phone bill under the business, you put your rent, if you rent. Let's say you have your trading, you know, your trading setup, you know, in the living room area, right? Now, half of your rent, if not all of your rent, if your business is the name on the lease, half of your rent if your name is on the lease, right? Which you wouldn't have to change. So there's various different things that you can do to, once you register your business, to start, you know, utilizing those deductions. Trading in property at some point. I mean, yeah, if you started off as a trading, it's fine. I mean, because you can literally use that business to, you know, purchase property. Where I say to be cautious in is because if obviously, you know, even if you have $500,000 or $250,000, you don't want to put all of that money into a real estate property, right? You want to be able to go through the banks, but most banks will give you a loan, you know, once you've been established for at least 2 years. I mean, you can get something right off the bat, but it's not going to be, you know, in the high six figures. So business credit as well, you know, takes about 30 to 60 days to develop. What do you recommend for regulated? For regulated brokers, I recommend IC Markets and Purple Trading, which again, neither one of those as a U.S. citizen you're going to be able to open up an account with. Like, You go on their website, flat out, it says right there, no U.S. citizens. And to open up accounts with them, you're gonna have to submit a KYC. KYC is verification, like who you are, address. So you're gonna have to upload a passport and a government, ID or state ID, driver's license, and then proof of residence, right? And within those stuff, I mean, soon as you go onto the website to apply, your IPO gives you up. Like you're based in, Oregon or Washington or Seattle or New York or wherever, right? And then you can get a VPN to mask your IP address, but then what you're gonna do when it comes to the documents, right? You have to upload a passport and ID, and if your passport and ID shows you're a U.S. citizen, it's negative. So yeah, so as you guys can see, I am very, very knowledgeable and all throughout this sector. So from regulated to unregulated, and I do know some loopholes. But again, if you were to use a VPN, you would still need different documents. So you would have to have dual citizenship. If you don't have dual citizenship, like there are US brokerages that you can use that's regulated. So my FX Choice is a pretty decent US regulated brokerage. That would probably be that would be your best bet if you wanted to trade with a regulated broker. Do you do mentorship? Yes, I do. Do you do mentorship? I email. Yeah, so you email. So what Deck is doing is he's doing a mastermind, and that mastermind is going to be for a few days. I do mentorships. My mentorships are a lot longer than masterminds. So I do 3 to 4 month mentorships. And I mean the price is relatively inexpensive, I believe. And you get a lot for your bang, but then also like you have after the mentorship, like you still have access to me as far as like being able to ask questions, being able to get forward education where certain conditions change, or let's say you get in a situation where you're seeing you're no longer being profitable. I get back on Zooms with you. I mean, the Zooms may not necessarily be as long, but I'm still available to get on Zooms to kind of help pinpoint what are you doing wrong and how to change it. But then also there's the constant learning of things, right? Being able to elevate and certain steps that can be taken outside of trading, right? Because trading is just, let's say, one leg of of a, I don't know, 6-legged chair. I mean, who would make a 6-legged chair anyways, but besides the point. So yeah, so I do mentorship. So just shoot me an email asking whatever questions, and I'll email you back with prices and what it entails. But essentially, my mentorship, I go over stocks, options, futures, commodities, the multitude of different strategies that I use at any given moment, based off of what I see, macroeconomics, technicals, and position sizing, risk management, risk to reward parameters, how to effectively do this as a business, steps that needs to be taken. I even share my custom trading setup if you're able to get Thinkorswim, TD Ameritrade. So as you guys can see, my setup right here, what you're looking at. So I share that. If you're not familiar with Thinkorswim, I do walk you through it from Thinkorswim to TradingView, to MetaTrader, MetaTrader 5. So like I literally walk you through everything. It's not like I'm just gonna, oh, here's the strategy and that's it. It's like, no, like I give you the strategy, I give you my workspace, I explain and walk you through every workspace. I explain, the difference between futures on the actual futures prop firm and what it is on Forex, different Forex brokerages to use and why, different Forex prop firms to use and why, crypto, which you guys are already somewhat getting it because I'm already telling you guys about, what exchange I use for crypto and the reasons behind it, the regulated brokers that I use and why. And even, if you, again, have the luxury of having parents or grandparents that were born in another country, that would be one of the quickest and easiest ways for you to gain a dual citizenship, which then would give you access to a variety of brokers, which, we're talking zero raw spreads, we're talking fast executions, good leverage. So there's a multitude of different things. I'm going to call it a day and go work out up 300. Awesome, bro. Happy to hear that. Enjoy your workout. I'll be heading there a little bit later. Once I'm done with the streaming. I'm probably only going to be on for like another 30 minutes. I'm still in profits on my NQ longs from 1732, about to be up 20 points. If this thing stalls at 60, I'm just gonna cut out and call it a day. I'm up almost 3% on a day. I'm up 2.96% on a day, so I'm close to 3. I'm out like 4 away from an overall 3% on a day. That's not bad for what people would consider a slow day in the market. And matter of fact, you know what I'm doing? I'm adding one more contract to my long, seeing if we can break over 1760 and then call it a day. But I'm glad and hoping you guys got a lot of good information this morning. I hope you guys caught some of these trades and longs. We going, let's go.
Shares of Manchester United, they're on the move today. You can see they're up 2.25%. As British Chemicals billionaire Sir Jim Ratcliffe agrees to buy a 25% stake in the football club for about $1.3 billion. That gives Manchester United a valuation of about $5.4 billion. Again, stock up 2.25% off of its highs of earlier. Also some talk about some streamlining of the workforce, rehabbing Old Trafford, which is their historic. I'm not a big soccer fan, so I'm literally reading the report, but apparently he wants to rehab Old Trafford as well. Put about $300 million into it.
Yeah, I don't know if it was as much as the initial estimates had hoped for, a $6 billion deal. And remember, there was a bidding war, the Qataris were involved, the Saudis were involved at one point. But still, $5.4 billion valuation for a team that hasn't even been profitable just shows the continued sort of increase in valuations for these sports franchises and the interest.
If you look at the British media, also a sense that adding Sir Jim Ratcliffe's going to just change the culture of Manchester United. Right now, majority owners, the Glazer family, actually an American family. So a lot of Brits at least feel like it's a big shift.
Yeah, maybe they were looking for new management. I think it's the fans, for instance. Anyway, we'll move to chips now, another deal to talk about. Intel making the largest investment ever by a company in Israel's history. Christina Partsinevelos has more details. Christina.
Well, Intel's getting some help, like you said, from Israel to the tune of $3.2 billion. Intel previously confirmed, though, that it would spend that $25 billion on expanding an advanced chip facility in Israel. But the news today specifically is that the plant will now be somewhat subsidized with that $3.2 billion to help fund the new operations, which should focus on more advanced chip technology. The deal represents one of many expansion initiatives for Intel. Last year, it said it would invest up to $100 billion, yes, $100 billion, to potentially build the world's largest chip-making complex in Ohio. Those are promises right now, but Intel has also planned to build 2 plants in Germany. And these expansion plans really just aim to reestablish Intel's manufacturing chip leadership. So according to TrendForce, Intel finally cracked the top 10 foundries by revenue in Q3. The top 3 spots you can see on your screen: TSMC, Samsung, Global Foundries, and Intel coming in at number 9, but it made the list. Intel's foundry services, though, operates as a separate business. So it's easiest to think of Intel as 2 separate companies: a chip designer that competes with AMD and NVIDIA, and a chip manufacturer that aims to compete with TSMC, Global Foundries, and Samsung. At Intel's recent event, I caught up with CEO Pat Gelsinger December 14th, and he acknowledged to me that they may not lead the AI chip design race, which is dominated by NVIDIA, but they can at least make those AI chips for other companies, so they can still be part of that game. The
Come on, keep it pushing. There you go.
$11 million in revenue in Q3, so that's a small portion of the money they make, but that's still up 300% year over year. And even though the company has a
Dropping one contract here on NQ Long.
on track to deliver its promises and timelines of 5 new chip processes in 4 years. Intel promises to break out also its foundry financials separately in Q2 of next year, so really act like a separate company, but no plans to spin off the company just yet.
Intel shares up almost 5%. Biggest positive impact on the NASDAQ 100. Christina Partsinevelos from the NASDAQ. Christina, thank you very much. All right, sticking with chips. NVIDIA has been the hottest stock in the space over the last 12 months, but will that momentum last into 2024? And if not, which other names might be next to have a breakout year? Joining us with his outlook, Bernstein semiconductor analyst Stacy Raskin. Stacy, happy holidays. Great to have you.
And to you, thank you.
All right, so I'm just looking at the charts right here, seeing the SOXX having its best year ever since inception. Same story for the SMH, the 2 chip ETFs. Is this just going to continue into 2024? Should investors just put their money into the ETF? Is this a rising tide that lifts all boats?
Yeah, it sort of depends on your time frame. Like long term, look, semis I think semis are a great industry. They are increasingly important, both functionally as well as strategically. I think the growth is there. There's always cyclicality you have to worry about, of course, but I think it's a great industry long term. I think as we're looking into next year, there's a few things. Like stocks have run a lot this year, and this is actually as earnings have been cut. You know, this is actually, you may not know it from the stocks, but this is 2023 is a downturn year for semiconductors. Like revenues will probably be down 10%, give or take. It's not an awful downturn, and it's also several years of very strong growth, but it is a downturn year. Investors, however, do tend to buy stocks once those estimates have been cut, and that's why a lot of these names have been rallying into year end as we've been seeing estimate cuts as we go in. And I think one of the big questions for a lot of these names into next year is, have numbers been cut enough, and is there room actually now for estimates and everything to go up, like in the near term, assuming those cuts are all the way through? You know, and if that's the case, people may.
Let's see. I think I got it.
Especially if the demand is now, we hit bottom and demand now starts to recover.
All right, so you're talking about price target cuts. One stock that's not seeing a price target cut at all is NVIDIA. You have a $700 price target.
Yes.
What's the catalyst for this stock next year that pushes it there?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. So NVIDIA, like the numbers just keep going up and up and up, and the multiple actually has come down. The stock's had a monster year this year. Clearly, it's up 250% or something like that. The stock is the cheapest today that it's probably been in almost 10 years, if you can believe it, because the stock, even though it's gone up, estimates have gone up much, much more. That is the worry that people have for NVIDIA, is that the numbers are getting so big so quickly, you just worry about sustainability. And that is an issue. Like, you can't prove a negative, you can't prove that it won't happen. But at the same time, I am enormously bullish on the AI and the accelerated compute opportunity as we go forward. I still suspect numbers for NVIDIA are going to continue to go up. And I don't know that the multiple can go down any more than it has. Like, at some point, I think those numbers are going to have to carry it. And if people can actually get comfortable that there is no big air pocket out there that may
give the stock a chance to re-rate back to like closer to where it was, which I do think, given the narrative, that it deserves a higher multiple than it's getting right now.
Speaking of price targets, I do want to come back to Intel because the news today, and you guys were all bearish on this company, and it's up almost 100% in the last 12 months. And having, right? I mean, where's your target on Intel?
Yeah, well, so look, so it's we're $36. I think we're 36. Now, it's ripped very recently though. I mellowed on Intel. We didn't have this conversation. We upgraded it in April. To market report at least, but we did upgrade it. Maybe I should have been a little more aggressive on it. That was the PC channel normalization thesis. They were overshipping PCs, then they were undershipping, and then normalizes, and that call has actually played out like a champ. I will be honest, I'm a little surprised at how strong it has been in the year end. There's a little bit of narrative, just the fact that maybe, they're not, at least they're claiming to still be on time, and the fact that they don't seem to be slipping anymore, maybe that's enough. I think these stories say like the subsidies are, I guess, that's driving it down. I'm a little surprised at the move today on the subsidy now. So $3.2 billion sounds like a lot, but it's actually probably one of the smaller subsidies they're getting if you compare what they're getting in places like Germany and Ohio. But for Intel, like lately, it seems like any news that's even remotely good has been an excuse to take it higher, and that's certainly what.
That's sort of what I was going to ask you. And on today's news, I mean, just forget the stock and the price target. To me, I mean, it's a prime example of friendshoring, and the bigger picture of what's going on in the semiconductor industry now. The fact that they're building in Germany and in Israel and in the United States. And I keep going back to Pat Gelsinger's quote that semiconductors are the new oil, and just how you expect the geopolitics of this industry to unfold into next year.
Yeah, well, so to be clear, them building in Israel is not new. They've been investing in Israel forever. Germany and Ohio are new, but still, it's a big number even in Israel. No,
Oh, excuse me. Russell's made a new high. I'm officially at 3% on the day.
I've said this before. Most of it from Taiwan, and it's 100 miles offshore from China, and you worry that they think they own the ground that it's sitting on, right? So that is definitely a concern. I think it is very difficult to duplicate what is in Taiwan. That will take even much more, multiples more than what they're talking about spending now, and it'll take many years. But I think there is an effort going on from Intel as well as from TSMC and Samsung and all of the others to try to de-risk it as much as you can, right? So all of those players and them and others are all building in other areas to try to diversify those supply chains. Now, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to completely onshore the entire semiconductor value chain. Like, this is the most global of all industries. I forget how many borders semiconductors cross during them, and it's like hundreds of different borders they cross, and there's materials that come from all over the world, from all parts of the world. It's impossible to completely onshore all of that stuff. So there's always going to be risk in the supply chain, but they're trying to de-risk it as much as they can, and that's what we're seeing.
All right, Stacey, thank you very much. Stacey Raskin of Bernstein, thanks for that insight into the chip sector.
You bet.
Thanks, Stacey. Up next, the alternative energy investment traders are betting on as crude remains on pace to finish the year lower, but is having a nice pop today. We'll be right back.
Insight, analysis, opportunity. A look behind the curtain of what's really driving the market. Money Movers is now online. Follow us on X at Money Movers CNBC.
All right, we got about 12 minutes left, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh. I think I'm about to lock in profits on the Russell. First, we need to document this. Documented. Now we sell. Right. All out of the Russell. Still got one contract left on NQ. Looking to see if it can get over. If not, I'm gonna end up calling it a day at 3.02% on the day. Not too shabby, not too shabby at all. Take that any day of the week. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, if no questions, I will be back on tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. If I see some pretty decent movement in the London session, I'm inclined to possibly stream earlier, but we'll see.
The money movers looking for alternative energy investments as oil remains on pace to finish the year in negative territory. Well, uranium prices, they've skyrocketed as of late. Our Pippa Stevens is looking at that move and much more. Pippa.
That's right, Frank. Well, uranium spot prices are up more than 80% this year and hovering around a 16-year high.
Goodness,
With
oil.
demand will outstrip supply. It follows
I think
renewed interest
NQ's
in
gonna
nuclear
do a
power,
nice little
including
rip.
the U.S. and 20 other nations, at COP28 announcing
Break
plans
them
to
highs,
triple
baby. Give
nuclear
us some
capacity
highs.
by 2050. So new reactors are being built, but so far we have yet to see a huge supply response from miners.
They're probably gonna wait till London closed to run this baby up some more.
Uranium demand is forecast at 175 million pounds, while supply will be just 144 million pounds, according to Sprott Asset Management. And growing calls to sanction Russia's nuclear fuel industry could further complicate supply chains. So far, it's avoided sanctions because there's simply no alternative. Russia controls around 38% of uranium conversion and 46% of enrichment.
Break out, baby. Give us some new highs. Give us some new highs.
Both up about 50% for the year. And names like Boss Energy, Cameco, and Uranium have all gained more than 70%. Frank, back to you.
All right, thank you, Pippa. I'll take it. Pippa Stevens. Up next, how an import ban on some Apple Watch models could impact revenue growth for the company. We'll break down some new numbers next. Don't go anywhere.
Let's play some tunes to end this stream. Anybody in the mood? What y'all in the mood for? Let's see. What do I want to play? I gotcha. I feel today sensational.
Sensational. What's in I do for you, girl? And I know, and I know, and I know. Like a riddle, yeah. Give me the clues for the riddle. Oh, wow, that's a little, yeah. Life's pretty sweet, every bitch you tell me love her to the night time. Nobody, I don't see nobody. If you give me body, I want to nobody. I guess she wears clothes. Now she want me pool skirt, so me pool skirt. I guess she wears clothes. You see, it's obvious, it's obvious. What's in I do for you, girl? And I know, and I know, like a riddle, yeah. Give me the clues on the riddle. Oh, wow, that's a little, yeah. Life's pretty sweet, every bit of this one. She want this, and she got this. She know we control them, yeah. She dance it, she want it. She make me want to give her body.
So right now what I'm doing is I'm just setting up some levels to where if we break below, I know we're going to end up making our way for this gap. Something to think of and keep in mind in moving forward in 2024 is that there are several gaps to the downside that will need to be filled. And what I'm seeing here on the Dow is that we're possibly going to reject here. Maybe. Now, if ES and NQ don't make new highs and the Dow continues to be under this level going into 2024, I'll be looking for shorts. But for this week, I'm looking for a possible retest of the highs. So I start marking my stuff off on the daily, 4 hour, and then I'll go down to a lower time frame to find, and I'll set alerts like I'm doing right now. So I'll right click on this level, and then I'll go at or below. So at or below 37,425, I'll get a text message if I'm on the screen. I mean, I'll get the text message still, but up here on the left hand corner, it'll give a little alert. But if I'm not on the screen, I'll get a text message. I mean, either way, I'm gonna get a text message while I'm on my desk or not, to where I know, okay, price got below this level. I know, okay, below 37,425, shorts. Or
back shots, body, give a body, back shots, body, give a body, back shots, body. The way I jump for NYC, yeah. Pink girl, she carry the best I've seen. Steady, ready, assassin. Sweet in my belly, you're like a guy, so jelly. So train when I slide easy. Now she watching me like Sally. Waiting I do for you, girl. And I know, yeah. Give me the clues for the riddle. Oh, wow, that's a little, yeah. Life's pretty sweet, every bit of really that dress. If you wanna pull up on my tip cassette, but put the weather than the internet. I'm a presidential if you were so fast to lose. Goody, goody, hey, goody, bam, bam. I need you now, put me on fire, get on fire. Can you taste so divine? And I want that one, you so.
beautiful.
What's in I do? And I know. Love like a riddle, yeah. Give me the clues for the riddle. That's a little, yeah. Life's pretty sweet, every bit of. What's in I do for you, girl? Give me the clues for the riddle. Oh, wow, that's a little, yeah. Life's pretty sweet, every bit of.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for me. Thank you again for joining. I hope you guys all have a wonderful remaining of your day. If you're up on a day, leave it at that. So that's it for me. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. I was about to say 7. All right.